contact.
Alrighty, welcome to another live stream. Sorry we're a little bit late, but I had to get home. I was out busy rescuing stranded muscle cars with Firebird Nation, which we finally have Chris back in the live stream. No Peterbilt banner, but he's here. And we are also joined with Katarina's Garage. I was also told that Mr. Teen Mechanic might possibly be showing up. Like I said, apologize we're late.
Oh, no, it's not Teen Mechanic, it's Old Man Mechanic. Come on, man.
Well, yeah. No, I called him Mr. Teen Mechanic this time. I kind of gave him like a...
Great.
Looks like an in-between.
Oh, you're giving him that because he's 16 now? Is that it?
No, because he's not out here for me to freaking screw with personally, so...
That's fair. I mean, hey, I could do it anyways because I personally know him, so I'm allowed to screw with him.
Yeah, see? I don't know who's all out in the chat, if there is even anybody out in the chat.
Miss Formy's in the chat.
Is Miss Formy in the chat?
Miss Formy's in the
Well,
chat.
there you go. That's
Yay, she's playing with her phone.
That's because Miss Formy's in the truck. There's
Yeah,
three
she's
peas
that
in a
too.
pot. There's 3 peas in a pot in that truck right now.
Yeah, see,
Mr.
everybody should be on their phones right now.
Mr. Mach 1 has just popped in. Hello.
You could join.
Um,
You want to purchase the live chat?
For those of you that don't know why I am late, Firebird Nation, aka Chris, and me were out trying to get a non-running vehicle up onto the back of a freaking flatbed.
Gooseneck.
Gooseneck trailer. It's a flatbed trailer.
I've seen no gooseneck bending.
But yeah, him, Miss Formy, and his kid all helped me. But we had some mechanical problems. Their wench decided to go in but not out.
Okay, what's with it? Every time he goes, or any of them try and help you, their stuff breaks every time.
It's their fault, not mine.
Hey, at least it was
Are you
just
sure?
a winch.
Yeah. That's okay.
The last
okay.
time it was a truck. That was
Me-
a major issue.
Me and Chris went out to go and go get another winch. Meanwhile, his son decides to play Mr. He-Man and haul the damn car up with a ratchet strap,
A 2-inch ratchet strap.
and a chain. He got by the time we came back with a freaking come along because we couldn't find a winch that worked.
I've done that before. I've done that before with a ratchet strap.
And so we came back with the come along, and he had already had the freaking car up onto the back of the trailer, all by him with him and just him and Miss Formy.
Wow. See, now,
Yeah.
the thing is,
Could've
I
saved
remember actually,
$100.
like, there was a car deal that I did. I was selling a truck for my neighbor. It was a 82 F-250, had 4 flat tires on it, and the dude decided to bring a come-along with a non-axle winch.
We had 4 flat tires too, but we had an air pump with us.
Yeah, see, well,
2
the
of
thing
them.
is, these tires wouldn't hold air, period. You put air in the tires, and like, bear in mind, it's an F-250, so, you know, they actually hold a lot of freaking air in those tires. So it was probably, you could probably pump them up to 100 pounds if you really want to, before they actually all leaked out. But the problem is, as soon as you popped up one tire, you immediately would hear it on all 4 corners, leaking out that bad. It's just like, ah, crap. So, you know, that was a 6-hour ordeal with me there, and to try to get this thing up on the trailer. And then actually, the other, the guy that I was actually selling it for, after I went home, because the guy said he was fine, helped him for another 2 hours to probably get everything strapped in and loaded up, and just like, oh my god.
It apparently does.
So I popped a picture up on the screen. That was it after we got it up onto the bed. So
Nice.
she's
Seems to be missing some panels.
technically some of them are in the car. There's two.
yeah?
There is 2
That was
fenders.
a bad giveaway.
Yeah, there's 2 fenders and a front rear bumper inside the car.
Supposedly, so they
Though
actually
technically none of them are from that car.
Yeah, everything was carried in. I don't know what's what where.
But
But I told him.
but yeah, that,
So
go ahead.
So Sean, you've been on a Nova expedition then? I've been kind of out of the loop for a while now.
Well, that's because you don't pay attention to the chat, but that's neither here nor there.
Sometimes I've
okay, so we'll this is another one of those. I had cars stored somewhere, and then all of a sudden, they weren't allowed to be there anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I got told. Basically, I got told a month ago that the place where I have them stored at, there was a like a codes enforcement or something of that kind came snooping around and basically told the owner of the property that either the cars had to go. Basically clean up the yard or you're getting fined. So if the cars weren't removed from the property, the owner of the property was going to get fined. And he's like, hey, you need to get these cars off my property. I've got, the property Nazis sniffing around my fucking door and whatever. So I was in a panic. It was either sell the cars, scrap the cars, or find somewhere else to put them.
Right.
And
that's
oh, get him!
And the
smoke bear's gonna tag somebody.
Ooh, whoop whoop.
Yeah, whoops on the eastbound side.
But I ended up getting a 40-foot space to put both of them in. And so they're gonna go down there. I think he said like Monday or Tuesday. Chris is going to take it down to those spaces.
Monday.
Yeah. And then next week we have to go get the other car because we were supposed to get both of them today. Weather and stuff held them up from being able to get down here until like 3 o'clock. They were supposed to be down here at like 11. And then we had obviously we had to unbury the cars and get all the tires inflated. And then once we went to go put it up onto the trailer, we realized that the wrench wasn't going to pull it up onto the trailer. And obviously that car's got no engine, no transmission, no nothing.
I think a winch is a worthy investment. Like, I mean, I've got my car hauler, but all I've got is a come along. Like that's the only thing that I've got. Yeah. And I mean, Katerina, I was talking with you about some of the bullnoses you have out there, and like if I wanted to have a chance of getting one of those on my trailer or something even like that in that caliber of vehicle, I would need to have a winch, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the thing: if the tires hold air, trust me, we can get it up on the trailer without a winch, without even a come along. I promise you that.
If it runs.
We've done it more than once. Because the one thing is, especially with a Ford, it is so easy to get it onto a trailer because they always have brakes. It's Chevys that don't.
Really?
Like, here's the thing. When, for whatever reason, and this is my experience with reviving probably about 10 or 15 cars out of Greg's, every single time I revive a Ford, it never has brakes. Whenever I revive a Chevy, it takes a minute for it to finally run. Or, sorry, no, the Fords have brakes, but the Chevys don't. But the Chevys will run, like, every time. But they just won't have brakes.
The left front on that car had brakes. It was locked up.
Was it locked up?
It was locked up.
And you know, my AMC uses a GM system for brakes, and it had no brakes when I bought it. That's interesting. No, I'm noticing that now.
I guarantee you that the gray car has no brakes because the person that I had bring it back from New Jersey, they cut the brake lines because they needed some part off of it or something, whatever, and they ended up snipping my brake lines.
In its day.
Why would you cut the brake line and not just take it off? Like, that's just stupid.
There is a lot of things that were, if you watched the video back when I got that gray car, that was really pissed me off because there's a whole story with that gray car. There was a police officer that was shot in the head, and he had a 4th gen Nova that was being restored, and they were restoring it for him, and they needed some parts. So I told this body shop, I said, "Hey, I'll buy the car. I'll buy this car because it was, it had all the body panels when I got it, and I'm like, you can have the fenders and the doors off of it, and I think they needed something else." If you go out and go,
call this car the Gray Ghost.
Right. If you go out,
you got it. It was missing vital pieces.
Yeah, and I was like, if you go out and go get the car, you can have these parts for this cop car, this wounded cop, for his car. Well, they ended up stealing the rims off the car. They cut a piece of the rear quarter, the wheel lip. They cut it off the car. They did take the doors and the front fenders. They stole the rear quarter windows out of the car and the side trim, the B-pillar trim. And they stole the steering wheel. But there was a bunch of other stuff that was missing off the car too, and they did something with the brakes. I forget what that was. Because they ended up cutting brake lines.
That is, yeah, that's just ridiculous that way. Like,
and
I don't
also when
understand
they
that shit.
pulled the car up onto the trailer, the back axle was not secured in the car correctly, and it slammed the rear wheels into the back fenders.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, it was ugly.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, I just say, after looking underneath this thing when we were loading it, somebody was a grade A redneck retard.
Well,
I mean, they don't even graduate to redneck engineering because,
the thing is,
I mean, a piece of 2x2, or, you know what, now
the wood I stuck in there because there was nothing in there. There was just the metal plate and then the U-bolt.
Oh, so it was just the diamond plate and the U-bolts.
Yeah. The wood I stuck in there to take up space so I can clamp the U-bolts down.
Okay. Yeah.
But when I bought the car, the person I bought it from bought the car for the rear end. So that rear end is not original to that car. The rear end that's in the car is actually from a Firebird.
Okay.
Ooh, snap. No idea what year.
I think it's 67 limited slip.
Wow.
You can end up using that one, or what are you going to do
Yeah,
with it?
that was the plan. I was going to probably rebuild that one and then use it.
Well, wouldn't
Okay.
that actually be like really narrow for that back end too?
No.
Well, I just thought like because of those fourth gen Novas.
First gen
thought they were wider.
the first gen Camaros and Firebirds and Novas. Well, not first gen
Sure,
Novas,
same
but
unibody
they're
platform.
all
Yeah,
they all have the
I
same.
know, but I was saying like I thought that they may have done with the fourth gen. I thought they made those a lot wider.
Not the
So
Novas.
the rear ends would be different tracks.
The
But I
fourth
could be
gen
wrong.
Novas are the same size as the second and third gen Novas.
Oh, really? They look a lot
Yeah.
bigger.
It's the second gen Firebirds that have a wider rear. I have a
Sure.
second gen Firebird rear end underneath of the Black Nova.
Okay.
Chevy is ridiculous. The amount of parts that you like now like it's so common. It's now just occurring to me that you've got Firebird rear ends and a Nova.
It's a
Well,
GM.
the one thing is,
It's
most
the same
things
rear.
are.
It's just a matter of what width it is.
Yeah, like the only difference is actually is early Pontiac rear ends, like early Firebird rear ends. I think in '67 actually, if it was the 10 bolt, they were actually unique to the Firebird. Doesn't mean that you couldn't put it in a Camaro, but like they had the non-C-clip rear ends that you
Right.
cannot find parts for no matter what. But the Camaro rear ends of the same year, completely different.
Well,
And you can find parts for, and they're pretty easy.
that's because Pontiac had their own division of who was it? It was the same dude who did the DeLorean.
Oh yeah, John DeLorean, yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that did Pontiac back then.
Well, yeah. So
and his goal was to frickin' beat Chevy.
did AMC make their own rear ends, or did they source those from Chrysler?
AMC sourced parts from everybody.
Yeah,
Actually,
but just
AMC. Okay, AMC, depending on what it was, had their own rear ends, but for the most part, they just used Dana's actually, and Chrysler
Right.
rear ends as well.
Right.
But there was an AMC specific rear end on some of the Jeeps, if I remember correctly, like early like 60s. But
Mhm.
I don't know if, like, for example, I'm feeling that your Matador might have a Chrysler rear end, but I don't know for sure.
I don't know either. I don't even know what the gearing is. I have to figure that out.
AMC has identity crises.
Yeah,
They did.
well.
Well, they are parts bin specials, and that's what's wonderful
Exactly.
about them, but also
they
awful.
just went down to the local pick apart and said, you know what do you got today?
Speaking of pick apart, there was I think it was an 85 AMC, Jeep Wagoneer there, that someone scrapped. It had every option, and it still had the drivetrain. It had a 360, and I don't think it was a 7. It didn't look like a 727, but it very well could have. Most AMCs had the 727 with the 360. But anyway, it was down there. And
Grand Wagoneer.
It was a Grand Wagoneer, and I don't know if they had the 727s in it, but.
Yeah,
Either way, it still had the drivetrain, and I don't know why.
If it was a 401 or a 360, it would have had a 727. But I believe the other ones, like if you had the 304 or under, I don't believe.
I don't have a leg in that conversation. I have no idea what any of that shit came with. I just like
that was my dilemma. Because I know that pretty much every AMC with a 360 and 401 had a 727, and that's what I was thinking. But it sure didn't look like one. The bell housing. Well, actually, no. The bell housing and the actual transmission itself looked kind of like one.
No,
but
here's the thing. The easiest way to, there's easy ways to be able to figure out what transmission's in a car without, because it could have been swapped in or whatever else. Take a look at the oil pan or the transmission pan every time, because they're all different shapes, right? And you can just
especially with GMs. I don't know other ones, but I know GMs. Every single transmission has a different shape pan.
Same as Chrysler and same as Ford.
Mr. Mach 1 says AMC used Mopar transmissions.
For the most part, except for I think their manuals, if I remember correctly, were Borg Warners.
But I think everybody was using those.
Want to... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Chrysler didn't use Borg Warners. They used their A833 4-speeds back then. Their own.
So, actually, speaking of Borg Warners, if I could find one, let's say I had one, because cost aside, find the commonality of them aside, I've never even thought of how it would be possible. How would you do a 3 on the tree conversion? And I'm not saying it's worth it. I don't need to hear don't do that. I want to just know how, because mine's just a 3-speed auto, but like a 3 on the tree in that car would be really, really cool. I just don't even know how you do that.
Technically.
Any of those, the full-size AMCs with a 3 on the tree, probably the same column, because you'd have to do the column swap out, and then you'd have to, of course, do the pedals and the transmission, and then at that point, it should be pretty simple at that point, and you'd be able to delete a couple of things under the hood, too, for that matter, but because you wouldn't have a kickdown.
Exactly, that's true. Huh.
But yeah, it's one of those things where you'd have to, for any
have
3,
a
like if you're going to do a 3 on the tree conversion in any car, you'd have to swap the column. You wouldn't be able to use the same column because it's different mechanisms.
Most likely you'd want to find a donor that already has the 3 on a tree set up and just...
Yeah, I'm going to find a donor Matador. Hang on, let me get online real quick.
See, now, the one thing is that would be kind of cool, and I've always wanted to
Nobody said
this, because I've heard of people doing actually a 4-speed on the tree. I've heard of that, like people Frankensteining stuff, but I've never seen somebody do a 5-speed, and I want to see it done.
A 5-speed on a tree, I'll do that.
See, the most people want to get away with the manual transmissions on the freaking tree because they're a pain in the fucking ass.
I love them. I mean, I drove one once, and
the thing is, okay, with it being on the tree, it makes it kind of a pain if you have any issues inside the column, whatever else, to work on that. But the one thing is with it on the tree is, for the most part, you can't bang shift it because it always binds. Like 99% of the time, a 3 on the tree will bind if you try and bang shift it. So that's why enthusiasts don't like that. They'll move it to the floor so it doesn't bind up.
Yeah, I don't like bang shifting anyway. It's a Matador.
Oh no! Okay, if you had a 4 on the floor in that thing, you would bang shift it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay, fine, but I'm not gonna. If a column, I don't know why that just wouldn't even cross my mind if I had a 3 on the or anything on the column, like bang shifting. I don't know. That's not really.
Well, the one thing is, like, say that, I mean, especially with how slow your Matador is going to be, with, like, going into traffic and stuff like that, say you don't have very much room and you just need to shift very quickly. Like, even doing that, it's not necessarily bank shifting, but, like, trying to shift it really quick, you're not really able to do that. You have to do it slowly because, again, it'll bind up in the column. So,
That's true. How would you? So, I don't even think they've made a 5-speed column.
no.
So you'd have to make a 5-speed column.
Yes, you would. But I mean, I've seen people do 4 speeds in the columns. I've just never seen a 5. So,
Well, even at 4, like you'd have to make the column.
Wait, it's not worth it by any stretch of the imagination. It'd just be kind of neat to see that though.
It's not worth having this car. And believe me, I've been hit by this fuel. I've filled up so many times. I have change in my glove compartment now at this point. I just pay with rolls of pennies at this, like whatever I find in the seats of the car. And
see, and this is how they're gonna get people to convert over to fuel efficient vehicles and EVs. Is they're just gonna keep raising the gas prices until people can't afford to put gas in their cars anymore.
Well, see, here's the difference. Or you could be like me and have an inline-6 Mustang that doesn't get horrible gas mileage.
Yeah,
just saying.
I could do that. The LTD was pretty good. I mean, it was a big engine, but it had overdrive. And the thing is, this Chrysler or this Matador is just it's got 3 gears, and I'm getting really good at being conservative on that 3rd gear, especially. Like just I'm it's not
staying
just
in
my gas pin. I'm thinking though now, like I still have the Mazda. I gotta sell that. It's at my school. You should
be driving that freaking thing right now, man.
It's so stupid. Why would I drive that? It's
because you'd be saving gas mileage. You'd be able to go further on a dime. Isn't that what everybody's issue is?
I swear, why would I run an automotive YouTube channel and say, "Oh, I drive a Mazda 3. It's a manual though, so I'm a car enthusiast."
Yeah, hey,
because you're a big.
To be honest, like, there's nothing wrong with a Mazda 3, and they are actually a very big enthusiast car. They really are. Like, I know so many people that own one that aren't Mazda Speeds.
There's a reason why they have the bumper stickers of, like, my other car is a Mustang or my other car is a Chevelle. Because not everybody that has a cool car daily drives the cool car.
I'll tell you what, Sean. I'll put that on the back of my Pontiac Montana with a roof rack and a canoe on the roof. That's fine. But I'm not on a Mazda 3.
I drive an alien green Kia Soul.
That's fine, man. You're allowed to say. Everyone has shortcomings. That's fine.
It isn't much different than your Mazda 3, but at least your Mazda 3 is a manual. Mine's an automatic.
See, now I get where Joseph is going with this. Don't get me wrong. Like, I like the Mazda 3 myself, but do I want one? No, I don't. Like, but the thing is, like, for him, if he was going to get a fuel-efficient vehicle, he'd do something similar to me. And I just know that because we're very similar that way. You'd get something older that's kind of unique in that sense, and drive that.
My Kia gets My Kia gets 29 miles to the gallon.
That's really good.
And hey, Chris was in it today. Chris, does that little freaking Kia Soul get up and go?
Yeah, I was surprised.
Here's the thing. Your Kia Soul is probably faster than my my 81 Mustang.
I guarantee you it is.
And I bet it's faster than
that Mazda 3?
That'd be close, actually. Depends.
It would be close.
It's a 6-speed automatic.
Mine's a 5-speed manual, and I'm pretty good at bang shifting or whatever the hell. So,
hey Joe, what size engine? What size engine is in that that Mazda?
That's a 2-liter. It's not the 2.2.
Yeah, the Kia is the 2-liter as well.
Okay, well that's fine. I mean, the Mazda is not. It's not even. Well, it's kind of zippy. I've been driving the Matador now for a long. Like, not long, but I've been driving it for a week or whatever. I've been driving it since the 9th. And then I got my mom's van to drive to Airdrie last night and it was like a rocket van. Like, it was fast, I didn't
You're
even
gonna
know
make.
how fast I was.
I have a copyrighted music playing through my head right now. I think from Elton John.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Just don't play it out loud in your head. But yeah, that's why I said that, and actually was kind of interesting because that thought is in my head because that particular lyrical project came on the radio, and as I was going really, we'll just say I was doing some spirited driving on the two on Deerfoot, and I didn't even know how fast I was going because I mean that van is slow, but compared to my Matador, it's like this brand new car. It felt like it was zippy. It was crazy.
Well, that's the one thing that'll be interesting when I finally get Lilo back on the road again properly, without it blowing lower rad hoses off and overheating, because that's happened twice now. Is I don't know how fast it's gonna be exactly.
Hello.
Because I haven't fully tested it out yet.
Is it
And also, yeah, it's a AOD.
Oh, okay.
And like the one thing is, okay, it's got an 86 motor in it, which I found out something about 86 302s that make it the worst year for 302s.
Really?
It's the heads. The one thing is with those heads, and actually in the pistons in particular as well, because for one, the heads just have crappy flow in them, and you can't swap them for a nicer head without swapping the pistons because the pistons don't have valve reliefs in them.
Huh.
So and all the oh, what was this trade? Oh, I don't care about that trade. But yeah, it's one of those things where I've been learning. Like a friend of mine has a couple of Explorer 5 liters in his yard that I could pull the heads off of that are GT40P heads, aluminum, fantastic heads. But I will have piston meet valve if I do that.
Exactly.
I'd have to get new pistons, which I'm not gonna do. I'll just wait.
It's probably like what makes the heads? It's the compression, right?
What?
Well, it's many things. They make more compression. They have bigger valves. They have bigger ports in them, like much larger.
So they flow better. They flow better.
They flow better. They have slightly better compression, and they have bigger valves. You know,
that is. All right, so your biggest issue with any engine from the late 70s up until at least the 90s is once they went to the new emission rules back in the early 70s, their way of thinking of cutting down emissions was to starve the engine. Yeah. So the biggest difference between a 350 pre-emissions BS and after is the heads. That is where they lost all of that power, you know, where 350 went from having almost 300 horsepower down to having 100 horsepower was this. That's why they call them smog heads.
Well, yeah. Well, take a look at Lincoln's, for example. One of the best examples. 1960 Lincoln Mark III with a 460 in it had a claimed horsepower, but it was actually a little more than this, of 365. In 1978, in a Lincoln Mark V, that same engine, different heads, smog pump, catalytic converter, only had 180.
Right, but there was also two things. Okay, first off, you had the difference of the heads. Second, they also changed the way that they rated horsepower.
That's true too.
So they went like before they used to measure horsepower at the crank. They would just dyno the engines.
Well, also, the thing is, as well, with before 1973, it was what they call gross horsepower, which, yes, had zero accessories, didn't even have a water pump on it when they did these testing, and it was just the motor on a stand, no transmission hooked up or anything like that.
Right.
And then afterwards, they had to do accessories, water pump, all that stuff on the motor as well.
And full drivetrain. And full
drivetrain. Yeah.
So, of course, that's going to drop the horsepower numbers right then and there, but then you also add the smog stuff, and it didn't help any better.
Oh, yeah, but, like, if you swap, like, if you take a Lincoln Mark V and you take early 460 heads, oh, yeah, the motor, the power jumps immediately back up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's instant. And
majority of the horsepower was lost in the heads.
Right, exactly. And, you take off a smog pump and a catalytic converter, and, hey, you're around the same speed of what Lincoln Mark III was, which actually Lincoln Mark III was a good little hot rod back in the day. Now, slow compared to, say, LS6 Chevelle or something like that, but, you know, for what it is of being a 5,000-pound monster, it was pretty good.
Land yacht.
Yeah, well, that's. I kind of have developed the whole habit of saying land ho at this point. Just it's fun.
I like the early 70s and 60s four-door big cars.
Me too. Hey, me too. Yeah,
mean,
Monaco
pretty-
guy over here, Matador guy.
I
Pretty much by
prefer.
today's standards, if the wheelbase exceeds 115 inches, it's a land yacht.
Yeah, I had a preference for the old Electras.
Yeah, Buick Electra? Yeah.
Yeah, I love those actually. I like the 70s Electras though, so everyone crucifies me for that. But whatever.
Hey,
Well,
you drive one of the ugliest AMCs ever
Hey.
made, so it's true. Hey,
Well, what happened to the Gremlin? Where'd the rest of your car go? Come on.
Actually, to be honest,
I like the Gremlins.
styling wise, I would much rather drive a Pacer than that.
Though I'm
Fishbowl.
more partial to the what the fuck are they? The Javelins.
Well, yeah, everybody is the Javelin, the AMX, and then if you wanted to be weird as well for some people, the Hornet.
Didn't
Like-
tune to the guitar string.
What was the car that they had in Mad Max?
Okay, well, Mad
That was
Max
an early
was
Ford
not
Torino,
AMC.
wasn't it?
No,
No.
not the hero car. The yellow, red, and blue police cars.
Oh, those were Javelins. Yeah.
Yeah, I like those.
Javelin.
That was the second gen Javelin. Yeah.
Yeah.
From
So what
71
happened
to
to-
74.
What happened to the Rambler? Like, how did that go?
Oh, what do you mean by that?
Like,
My-
they made that at the same time as my car, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, the
Okay,
thing is-
back-
Okay, the Matador was the full size car. The Rambler would have been the mid-size car.
my shop
well,
class
the Matador was
had-
the mid-size car. They marketed it as a mid-size car back in the day.
Well, technically, they didn't
And
make
they
the
ambassador
Rambler after 1970.
My shop class had an early 60s Rambler, and we painted it up to look like a freaking old school cop car.
Nice.
Yeah. My Matador, I don't know. I think I'm gonna repaint it eventually. I want to repaint all this stuff. Yeah, who knows?
Like what?
honestly-
It has such a cool look. Why would you, it has nice
I
patina.
would paint it the same color. I'd repaint it the same color. But
but I mean,
and
it has a cool natural patina.
yeah, that's true. I don't know. I don't
It does
really know
look-
what I want to do with it.
You only
I bought a
have
heater
natural
core from the
patina
junkyard
once.
today.
You bought a.
I said,
Is it just because you can't find one, or?
I'm gonna get mine record. I just wanted to get a temporary one to put in the footwell and blow air through it, but
Oh,
yeah, I don't know if that will work anymore. I took the whole dash apart. I found a whole bunch of it was mouse turds all throughout the HVAC, whatever that box is. I call it the doghouse, but it's not the doghouse because that's unrelated. But I call it it's an HVAC doghouse where the heater core goes into it. You know what I mean?
it's called a
Anyway,
heater box.
Air exchanger.
air exchanger. That's what it is. So anyway, where the blendor is, and just littered.
Will
mouse
it blend? That's the problem with the truck. My Dodge. It's the reason I have no heat in the Dodge is because I guarantee you there is a mouse hotel in that heater box, and so there's literally no air coming through that heater core because the heater core is hot.
Which weird. There was nothing but just mouse crap. There was no nests or any skeletal remains. It was just crap.
Yeah,
Which is
I'm,
good.
I'm sure. I'm sure your lungs appreciate that.
Yes, that was good. And tell me, who makes a glove box out of cardboard? I'll tell you who. AMC.
well, you want to know why?
Um,
Okay, everything on AMC. Gotta remember, even Chrysler, who was in dire straits in the 70s, were still in better shape than AMC.
Yeah, that's true.
My
And then they bought them,
Firebird?
so losing-
My Firebird and my Nova both have a cardboard glove box.
I know
Weird.
it's stupid. It's stupid. Like back then, what was it? Was it the Monaco? No, that had a plastic glove box. I've seen one before. I don't remember what it was in. I feel like it was a car I owned, and it wasn't the LTD because that was all plastic too. But anyway, I was like surprised to see it again, and it bothered me because I had to bend it to get it out, and it's creased now. But I'll get it back in. But it was really annoying, and I'm not putting any of it back together until I get my heater core. And do any of you know? And I'm gonna do my own research, but do any of you know how much recoring a heater core costs? Is it a lot or not?
I don't imagine it costing that
$50 or
much. I
less.
mean, granted, like I'm sure a new heater core is cheaper, but you
Where
probably can't find one. Yeah.
I can't.
So
100% can't.
yeah.
Like
So
Milford.
yeah, I mean, it's gonna be probably $50-$60. I'm assuming it's a heater core. Like even because like recoring
take
a
it-
rad is about
yeah,
$150.
just take it to a
so
rad
you've got
shop.
a small of a heater core, right?
Take it
That's
to-
what I'm gonna do. The thing is, though, also, like,
See you
I
later,
mean, it's
Mach
legal.
1. Sorry.
What?
I said see you later,
Oh.
Mr. Mach 1. He says take care of it.
I don't have the chat pulled up, so I should
Well, that's not
Well, that's
helpful.
Yeah,
use my phone.
two phones.
No, 2 phones. Well, you don't have to really rub it in, but whatever. Hey,
Hold on,
It's
hold on,
not.
hold
it's
on,
a
hold on.
phone
Let me.
that I don't use anymore. It's
I'm
just,
just
for this.
joking. I have a bin of phones that I don't even. I think one of them or 2 of them work, but they're crappy. I collect phones. I love doing that.
Yeah, we saw your
I have
collection the other
BlackBerry.
week.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Your whole
Yeah,
shoebox
well,
full.
Yeah.
Like,
I have wallpaper.
but that's the thing. Like, I use this phone legit. Like, the only times that I ever have this phone even on is for this, or for when I eventually do videos that require 2 different devices. Like, a drag race, for example. That I have one on my dash and one at the finish line. This will be the one at the finish line. So
They
Yeah, sorry, watch the
missed
hockey
the
game at the same
goal.
time.
They missed the goal.
But yeah, like, and especially now, it's gonna be fun since I kind of have a car that will be slightly competitive with drag racing a little bit. As long as cars aren't too built up.
Why does it seem like you have to you have to choose one? In my mind, it's always been like, you have to choose. Do you want a convertible or do you want a V8?
Well, this is both, so
Yeah,
exactly.
My
That's the
my
thing, that's
ex
why I
buddy's car had the 302 5-speed manual, and it was a convertible GT. No, convertible
it's
LX.
very rare to find that combination. I've seen one like that.
It was a maroon car with a white top, and it had the granny rack on the back deck lid. It had, like I said, it had the 302 V8 with a 5-speed manual, and the white leather interior.
Nice.
Yeah, see,
That's a nice car.
Yeah,
No,
the one thing is
it was a POS.
Yeah.
That's a nice car.
Yeah.
I don't care what
It was a
they are
fast
nice. They are
death
cool.
trap. That's what it was. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Kat. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Fun.
they can be. Well, I mean, because I had the opportunity, and the thing is, if it was local, I would have bought it. Because I'm pretty sure that motor was on its way out. That's why I didn't buy it. I didn't think it was gonna make it home. Because there was that '84 Mustang 302 carbureted with a stick in it. But the thing was just a pile. I couldn't find gears in it. I couldn't tell whether it was in first or third or fourth, for that matter.
While my brain is still thinking about
Yes.
it.
What?
Oh, great.
We need a Mustang update.
Okay, so.
Hey, honey, you want to knock that out?
Jesus.
Oh
man.
shit!
In the chat, you want to knock that out?
I got it.
Yeah, I just noticed that now. I wasn't paying attention. Wow. Okay. Anyways, with my Mustang, this is my '81. I've been having major heating issues in the car, being overheating, and I've been replacing parts and whatever else. I've replaced the water pump. I've done the thermostat. I've flushed the entire motor out. Nothing's worked. Right? Nothing at all to fix the overheating issues.
By the way, it was what I was talking about the other day when I was talking to you about the intake. You put the coolant in the wrong.
Yes, I did do that.
I was worried that's what you did.
Yeah, and I did that. It's fine. It's
Okay.
fine.
All right. I was just curious.
Because the one thing is, I was going off of what a friend told me. He knows these motors inside and out better than any of us here. And the one thing is he didn't consider on his, he has a very rare intake that has a rear cooling port on it where you can pull out a little plug and it's very easy to bleed the system.
That one that I sent you the picture of, in the chat, has that coolant port. That coolant, right? Yeah,
like most out of block performers don't have that. But so now I have deduced, though, after going through everything, because I've basically done everything except for the rad. So it's going to be down to either the rad or the rad cap, and I'm replacing them both. I have it. I actually just bought it today. It's going to be shipped hopefully in the next couple of days. A brand new SVE 3-core aluminum rad, 2 inches. Be a nice upgrade for the car, and yeah, also a brand new SVE cap as well, to make it look fancier. So that should be here around March 2nd-ish, and with any luck, that should fix it, and I should have no more issues with it overheating or blowing off.
What PSI cap did you go with?
Huh?
What PSI cap did you go with?
16.
16.
16.
Yeah, that's what they have stock. So, and yeah, that's what. Oddly enough, even my inline 6 has a 16-pound cap. So, just about all.
So you haven't found anything on the block or anything that could be causing your heating issues. You just think it's just the radiator's not efficient enough.
That's one of his themes for the show.
I don't
the blonde
think
Big
so.
E most
Although
of the
I did
time.
find something concerning actually about the heads, but it's not affecting anything other than aesthetic at the moment.
Okay.
Because you can tell the driver's side head, and even the passenger side for that matter, they've both been dropped. Because on the front side, there's a piece about that big missing from the front of the head. It's right behind actually where the power steering pump bolts into the block.
That's weird.
You right? So there's that. And, you know, but again, it's not causing any integral issues there, you can tell. It's it's not leaking coolant out of it or anything like that. There's no signs of that. And inside, again, it's a very healthy motor still. You know, it doesn't run good only because the carburetor needs to be tuned badly. And I'm not sure if it's the float setting or the jets are way too big or whatever it is. Because turning the screws, I can only get it to a certain point, but it's still pluming black smoke out the back. No matter what I do, so I'd probably have to adjust either the float or the jets.
Yeah.
Which that has a Holly 600 on it, 4 barrels. So nice little carbs, brand new, nice and shiny.
Yeah, that should be pretty good for that size engine too. So yeah, you're probably just dead wrong.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be right back. 1 second.
Okay. Right. Don't threaten us with a good time.
But yeah, so that's where I'm at with Vector at the moment. And you know, I have all those other parts like the distributor, the headers, and stuff like that I could put on the car, but I'm gonna wait until the car actually is not overheating. Then I'll do that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Any update on the Honda?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Haven't gone back up yet. We were thinking of doing that this week, but never got around to doing that yet. So. Because I still need to, whenever I go up next, and it's looking like it might be me and my dad going up and work on it together, which would be kind of cool, actually.
No, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, we haven't really had a project together like that, so no, we never have. But the one thing that we have to do, and I actually had a guy reach out that has a very reputable performance shop saying that he could likely clean out the gas tank properly. So it's that's cool. And he comes highly recommended. You look up reviews online, he's got a ton of reviews that are it's 4.3 out of 5 on Google. So you know, a pretty good shop on it.
So I'm taking it the gas tank is still pretty cruddy inside.
The fact that we took a metal rod and we could barely get it through the inlet side to go to the carburetor on the gas tank itself. It was just I think what it is the sending unit inside, because we know it doesn't work, the sending unit. I think what happened was that sending unit actually has just turned to molten basically and got sucked up in there.
Yeah.
So, and it's all that rubber, because that's what it feels like, and looks like.
It's probably actually just the ethanol gas or whatever gas that's in it that's just broken down and turned into
This would have
Jello.
yeah.
I'm trying to think. Actually, it's been parked since '95, so I don't.
It could have ethanol-based gas in it, and ethanol-based gas turns into nasty yellow, like Chris said, Jello.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
called. What do they call that? It's called
Well, the one thing is, this car didn't have fuel in it when we got it. There was a bunch of crap at the bottom of the tank, but
It's probably because most of it evaporated out, which is what it leaves behind that yellow junk.
yeah, there was nothing yellow in there. It was just very rusty and.
Well, yeah, but I'm
bunch of
saying
crap
like
at the
what
bottom
it
of the
does
tank.
is the yellow junk collects into things like the sending unit or the bottom of the carb. What the fuck is it called? My brain is just not freaking thinking. It's Chris, what is it? What does gas leave behind once it evaporates?
Varnish.
Varnish.
Yeah, varnish. That's what I'm thinking of.
Well, the one thing is, ethanol gas doesn't varnish as much as lead
Oh,
gas.
it's worse. It is worse than regular gas.
Well, it's not varnish. It is Jello. I agree with Chris on that. It's more Jello than varnish because varnish is like a varnish.
Yeah, it turns into like a glassy. But yeah,
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
ethanol is way worse. Ethanol-based fuels are
It's
way
but
worse
it's not
than the old
varnish,
school
in
gas.
my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, I don't think that's what it is. Because the thing is, it's not yellow; it's black.
Well,
Like
it's just probably black
molten
from
rubber,
It's
right?
Yeah, I doubt it's
Yeah.
rubber. It's most likely probably bad gas.
But there wasn't
well,
leaded
no.
gas.
The thing is, with any rubber like that has melted, that's exactly what it looks and feels like. Because I had it on my
It's
finger.
gummy.
Yeah, it's very gummy and whatnot and black. You know, that's not gas. Because I know what old gas looks like. That was not what that was.
We
You know,
have been
and-
graced with a celebrity. Pilot has entered the building.
Oh, I was gonna be like, I was.
Well, it's none of us. I mean, Pilot is on a whole nother level than us. I mean, he's got how many followers? He doesn't even have a damn video out.
Yeah.
Hey, you're not wrong. But actually, speaking of that, because my videos lately have just been exploding, and I love it. Like quite a few of the videos lately have gotten 2,000 plus views.
Yeah. Oh, you passed a
Which-
subscriber milestone over the last week.
Yes, I did. I hit 1,500 subscribers.
Mhm.
And right now, actually, since then, I'm at 1,554.
I
Which is like,
I am
holy
not
crap.
I am not crawling anywhere near as fast as you, but I did reach another well, not a big milestone, but another small one. I'm at 2,600 subscribers now.
Hey, congratulations.
So
I
at
have
least
500
unless
too.
I lost a few, because that happens sometimes too.
Yeah, well, the
It's
one
kind of
thing
been
is,
like a milestone month. I mean, I hit 500. That was a pretty good feeling. It wasn't the same, but I mean, I don't know. I'm hoping I can get to 1,000 now, but we'll see. But,
It is.
yeah, because actually right now, like looking at it's nice actually because for a bit there it was just too damn cold to try and film anything.
It's exactly
And I didn't
2,600
really have
subscribers.
anything to film either, so that was kind of the other thing.
I was going to film
Um,
today. That absolutely didn't work worth a crap.
Well, the one
I
thing
should
is
have
like
filmed
looking
today. I
at
should have filmed the crap.
hey,
No, it was
Well, the
just
one
too
thing
damn freaking cold, and I had no tripod, and yeah, just
yeah, that'll happen because like the one thing is I'm looking at my analytics right now on YouTube Studio, and like over the last 28 days I have over 23,000 views. Watch time hours
God
are up
damn.
673.7, and my subscribers are up 155.
well, just blow me out of the water. Why don't you?
Like-
I've got
Like-
14,000 views, 695 watch time hours, and I've only gotten 27 subscribers in the last 28 days.
Well, you're not putting up videos of saying, "Hey, my head gasket's probably gone." Oh wait, no, I messed up on something. It's fine. because that's what happened.
I know.
I got
Every time I go up, there's
problems with
another
my
freaking video, and it's just like this. I feel like a freaking the little ball in Pong or whatever, just bing, 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 bing,
Oh
bing,
yeah,
bing.
because like, and the thing is, yeah, because there was like, I shouldn't film that because the thing is, when I took the spark plugs out and turned the car over, it just sprayed coolant
Well,
everywhere.
duh.
Yeah, because there was that much coolant in the cylinders.
It's kind of what happens
and-
when you purposely put the coolant straight into the cylinders.
Yeah, but it's fine, you know. And
Hey.
yeah,
We're all
fine.
human. We all make mistakes.
well, exactly. And the motor's fine. So I ran it afterwards and no issues. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't think any. Surprisingly, I mean,
Though,
show you how healthy
though
that
I
motor is. I don't
guarantee
think there's any
you,
coolant in the oil.
I guarantee you, looking at those plugs you pulled out, you either need valve stem seals or rings.
Oh no, those are it. That's just how rich the carburetor is.
Well, it was
right now.
oily. It would just be sooty if it was just straight carbon. You don't have like a oh my god death roll fucking oil leak, but you do definitely have some blow by.
Tiny bit, but nothing to be concerned.
Well, you already said yourself. It's a tired 302 or whatever. You know, it's from another.
It's a little bit of miles on it. It's not that bad though. But yeah, like it has over 200,000 kilometers on it. So I just don't know how many though. More than that. Like he claimed 220 on it, but he never saw the odometer on the other motor. So you know,
220.
but which is you know it's fun. Well, the thing is, the car has 196 on it anyway, so like
Right.
which is really high for a convertible, like even of that vintage.
It was well used.
Yeah, and I see
Oh,
some
wow.
motor in it, you know, when I owned it before, so that was fun.
I think I gotta head off for a bit if I have time. A little bit later, depends how long you go. I'll hop on, but I think I'm gonna head off just for now. And
Weak.
yes, I know.
We
I suck.
will sorely miss you.
Thanks. It's good to feel missed. That's good. Thank you. Thanks,
You're
Sean.
welcome.
Thanks, Kat.
Hey, no worries.
Sarcasm included.
All right. Yeah, I'll catch you guys later.
All
See ya.
right, see you later.
You're right.
And Pilot is right. There is a Daytona 500 tomorrow, even though I have not really followed much stock car racing in forever.
I don't follow it.
There was a big wreck in the Craftsman Truck Series race too.
Yeah,
But this is
couple of them.
Daytona. Is it a Daytona race without a big wreck?
No.
Because you can't get that many cars.
And it's going to be interesting with this new car to see what it does because it's
Well, we already see Joey
radically different than the
Logano.
other one.
What was it, Joey Logano during the duels? He got fucking turned around because he tried to block
Yeah.
too late. That was his
Tried to come on
fault.
black coming to the checkered flag.
Yeah,
You got looped.
that was his fault. He blocked way too freaking late, and
Yep.
yeah, he basically turned himself.
Well, I haven't really watched a NASCAR race, and I don't even know how long.
I kind of
Like-
just been watching the highlights.
But even like watching highlights, not really anything either. For me, I don't care about NASCAR anymore.
I don't really
like.
care.
It's just not.
I have no heart in any of the racers except for maybe some of the ones that I follow on YouTube. Like I follow Haley Deegan, and there's one that's a little lower down, whose dad used to race. That I started following because he reopened his dad's race shop. So his dad's race shop was abandoned for like 10-15 years. And he went back in and started basically bringing it back into, you know, as a race shop. And that's what I started watching. And I kind of got hooked onto his channel from that. I forget what the channel's called. But yeah, so I've started watching it because of that. I wouldn't say, like, I have no heart in any of the drivers. None of the drivers are like, you know, like that's, you kind of have to have that when you watch NASCAR. You kind of have to have somebody that that you pull for, that you know, like, it's like watching a movie and not being attached to the main character. The movie really doesn't have any. You have no heart in the movie if you're not feeling for the characters. And that's the same thing with NASCAR. I have no characters or no drivers that I have a pull for. You know?
Yeah. Well, like to me, because I was never like even when I did follow racing a lot more, I was never attached to like any drivers. It was just if they're driving like real cars or whatever else like that, it's just entertaining to watch.
Well, see,
but for me with NASCAR, it's just not. I just don't feel it. You look at the cars and whatever
again,
else, and
that's why if you for you to have an interest in the sport, it's like watching football but not having a team to root for. Or it's like watching hockey and not having a team to pull for. It's just hockey then. And that's the same thing with any sport. If you don't have a particular team or player or whatever to pull for, then you're just watching it. You have no heart in the game.
Well, yeah, well, the one thing is, actually, sports is a little different that way. Comparing it to that, only because, like, me, for example, okay, yes, I love the Calgary Flames. I'm watching them play right now. But I watch a lot of other hockey just because I enjoy watching hockey. But the one thing is, because trying to compare that to NASCAR, it's not the same way. Like, there is auto racing that I do enjoy. Like, for example, watching any of the GT car series, with, like, GT3, GT4 stuff, right? Like the Rolex series and Le Mans and stuff like that. I enjoy watching that stuff more. But there's so much more variation compared to NASCAR, where it's mostly the same and, very similar cars to each other. Like, they are different, but they're very similar to each other. And,
that's why you don't follow it for the cars.
And there's a lot of it, too, where, don't get me wrong, they do the road racing as well, but when it's just the ovals, it's kind of like, eh.
But again, like I said, same thing. You're not... NASCAR was never about the cars themselves. NASCAR's always been, it's always been about the drivers and what they are capable of doing with said cars. And so that's why, if you watch any NASCAR fan, they pull for a particular driver or team because that's where the heart is at. You don't generally find a diehard NASCAR fan that just watches because they enjoy watching NASCAR itself. It's because they pull for a certain team or a certain driver, because that's where that's where your heart is at in the game. And I lost that a long time ago. I used to follow Jeff. I mean, that's something that my mom taught me when I was very little. It was pick a driver. Doesn't matter who. Pick a driver, follow that driver. And as you get older, you might change who it is, but that's how just like when you watch another game, you pick, you gotta have something to pull for, because you gotta have something to root on. I mean, if you were just rooting on all 43 drivers, well, then you don't really care who's in the lead. You don't care if they get passed. You don't care if they have car troubles. Whereas if you have a driver...
I know what you're saying, but that's not always the case when it comes to a lot of the stuff. Because, with NASCAR, I know it's a little different compared to most. And, because NASCAR and F1 are similar that way, where you follow the drivers especially.
And Indy, too.
And what?
Indy.
Yeah, and Indy. Well, yeah, it's very similar to... Yeah, anyways. So, and with those series, right? But if you look at, like GT racing, for example, or drag racing that's not funny cars and stuff like that, it's, a lot more variation that way, and you can actually watch it and just enjoy the racing. You don't have to actually follow a team or a person.
Well, those are more, drag racing. Dragging racing is more about the car.
Yeah.
Because each car is hand-built.
Yeah.
GT racing is more about manufacturers because they don't really care who they stick in the cars. It's more of manufacturers putting cars out there and they hire drivers to drive them. which is different than NASCAR, because NASCAR, yes, there's manufacturers in them, but it's more about the drivers than it is the manufacturers.
Yeah. Well, like, and for me with like NASCAR, when I had stopped, because I wasn't necessarily like a devout follower of NASCAR or anything like that. You know, I'd catch the odd race here and there, and you know, I liked Tony Stewart back in the day, and I kind of got into Brad Keselowski for a little bit, but then I was a big Dodge girl back then, majorly, and when Dodge pulled out of NASCAR, that was what, like 2014, I think that was, something like that.
I think their last car was what? Was it the Charger or the Intrepid?
The Charger.
They did have the Charger?
Yeah, well, they didn't make the Intrepid in like 2014, so they stopped the Intrepid.
I've stopped watching NASCAR for a long time because of the rule changes.
Yeah, see, I don't like those either. Like, I like, you know, when racing that they're like have a basic set of safety standards, and that's fine. But don't restrict it so bad with everything else. Like, don't put a restriction on the engines. Don't put a restriction on like aero and stuff like that. Let the, you know, manufacturers.
Let the driver be the driver.
Yeah, exactly, and that too. Like, and let the cars.
Well, I mean,
actually...
I understand why they did some of that. Some of it's for safety. Some of it's for leveling the playing field, because there got to be too many super big teams that could dump millions of dollars, and it killed off
R&D.
the smaller teams that couldn't afford that. And that's what the new current car is supposed to stop, is to stop a lot of that as well. So that way newer, smaller teams could start fielding cars again. Because that's what happened. In the 80s and 90s, you could field a car with not a crap ton of money and do okay. But once it got into the 90s and the 2000s, the R&D was so crazy expensive that it killed any of the small teams.
Yeah, see, well, and that's the one thing, like, not that I really follow F1, actually, I really don't. But
F1's
the one thing that I find
horrible for that.
fascinating with F1 is actually the variations in the teams. Because, you have your poor teams, absolutely, and then you have your Mercedes and Ferrari and... do
you know why they? Why they can do that? It's the same reason why NASCAR is doing what they're doing today, because there is so many. Everything is regulated that there isn't a whole lot that the teams can fabricate to change the cars.
Well, actually, here's the thing, though. The lower teams, they never get a podium finish, ever. In fact, if they finish in the top 20, that's surprising. And it's actually, the difference is actually, these other teams spend a whack more on their cars, because they can, right?
Well, and they're spending a whack more for a second or two.
Well, it makes a big difference.
Well, when you're fighting for that much, it's a lot more money. Like up to a certain point, you can spend this much. Once you start hunting down half a second here and there, the price for that half a second increases exponentially, which is again where they were trying to stop, so that stop that from happening.
Well, see, like something that they could do, like instead of what they've done, is because Formula One does actually have a cap hit for teams. And yes, there's going to be your poorer teams that will get nowhere near that cap hit. Then you have like your McLarens, your Mercedes, where they're at the cap every year. But see, NASCAR could implement something like that. And the thing is, and if they did something similar to, I don't know if you've heard of I think it's on Amazon Prime actually. I haven't watched it, but I've been meaning to. It's called Drive to Survive, and it follows. I think they are at 3 seasons now, to where they follow the Formula One teams, and from what I've heard, in the first season they actually follow the small teams and drivers in the beginning, and then once they saw the show take off, okay, that's when you got all the main guys go in and buy into it, right? And it's gotten a lot of people actually into the sport again, like into Formula One, which is really cool to see that and to see motorsport thriving like that. And if NASCAR did a similar thing to that, Well, I'm sure NASCAR's
They
ratings
did.
would explode.
They did. It's what
But-
killed NASCAR.
Well, what did they do?
Back
'Cause I
in
don't
the
remember.
mid 90s and early 2000s, they changed a bunch of stuff and brought in a bunch of new fans. Okay, there was a
Well,
giant fan explosion. Okay, because they changed their marketing strategy. They may not have done TV shows, but they changed their marketing strategy and a bunch of other stuff, and they brought in a bunch of new younger generation fans. And what happened is they catered specifically to those new younger generation of fans and changed the sport to suit them.
Well,
And
see, and the thing is, well, that was NASCAR's mistake because Formula One didn't change anything
right,
when
well,
they created the
hold
show.
on. So they also ended up getting in a bunch of new big sponsors at the same time. That's when, you know, like Talladega, whatever the Will Ferrell video movie and stuff like that, when all that stuff happened.
Talladega Nights.
Yeah, that's it. But what happened is the problem is when you bring in these new, I would call them fly-by-night fans, is as soon as the novelty wears off, they're gone. They're off to the next novelty thing. And what happened is they changed the sport, and the sport grew so big so quickly that they overexpanded their own ability to function.
Well, yeah, see, and
Then the sponsors.
And that was, but that's the thing with NASCAR. They changed the sport, and that was their problem, right?
That's when we got
they did if right now they did something similar to Drive to Survive that way. They followed some of the smaller teams at the beginning, for example, and got people hooked on what they do, right? They get them hooked on these drivers and stuff like that, and then move on to the bigger teams in later seasons and stuff like that. It could really grow NASCAR quite well. I truly think so. And you could do this for literally any racing series whatsoever. It doesn't matter what it is.
Except for that NASCAR's NASCAR drivers today are just they are, how can I say it?
Spoiled
bland.
rich kids.
They're bland. They are They are as cookie cutter as the fucking tracks that NASCAR tried to implement in the 2000s.
Well, you think Formula One drivers aren't either? Like, except for they're worse because they make a lot more money than NASCAR drivers.
There's no I don't know if NASCAR can recover from what they did. They changed the sport way too much. They lost way too many of their core fans that, like me, that just got tired of their crap and stopped watching. They would have to do a lot to bring them back.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they could. Like I said, something like that to bring
They
in
need to
fans,
get rid of
like
this
and
chase
explain.
for the cup bullshit.
Yeah.
They need to get rid of
Don't
it.
get me wrong. Like, there is a lot of issues with NASCAR and how it's run. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Formula One's not any better that way. But, like I said, if they did this right, like how Formula One did, because Formula One's always been a big sport. But then once they did this show, it just exploded, and it's continued that popularity.
Well,
for
the thing is
now.
Formula One is worldwide.
It is, but you could get fans from other countries to actually, pay attention to NASCAR, which would really actually help.
Again, to end up doing that, they would have to change the sport to be more appealing to other countries. Other countries don't get NASCAR. They don't get it.
Well, the thing is, you get them attached to, like you said earlier, get them attached to the drivers. Like, and yeah, some of them are going to be bland, absolutely.
The drivers would have to be something to want to be attached to.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? And you're gonna have a few of your drivers like that. Like, yeah, are there going to be some boring drivers? Absolutely.
They're too busy. They're too busy trying to freaking make sure that they don't piss off or upset their fucking sponsors to have any personality.
Well, one thing is, I mean, you can look at actually, because the thing is, I followed, the Calgary Flames a lot actually. I've been to 2 of their hockey games, and I watched just about every single game on TV. And the thing is, like, the one guy that they always have on media, he's a terrible media guy. Absolutely, he's Johnny Gaudreau, but he's their top star on the team. Like, you talk to him, but he's so bland, and his body language a lot of the time is just like, I don't want to be here, right? But he does it every time, right? And again, that's a guy you don't latch on to somebody like that way. But you could get somebody else that is a little more upbeat and fun that way. Like one of my favorite guys on the team is actually Matthew Kachuk. He's hilarious. And again, there's stuff like that, right? And there's gonna be there's a few people, I'm sure, in NASCAR that would be really fun to actually follow, right? And it doesn't matter. There's always going to be those people that will be fantastic. There's going to be those people that are sticking in the muds that you don't want to follow, absolutely. But
unfortunately, the time has gone by for the Richard Pettys, the Dale Earnhardts, the Rusty Wallaces, Sterling Marlins. Those guys were, I wouldn't want to say men, because that's really a really brash thing to say, but they were grit, and which made them, they cared more about what they could do with the car than they give a shit about the media. Their job was to race the car, not be a spokesman for their sponsors. And that, I don't think they'll ever be able to go back to that. And so the new drivers that they pick for these cars, part of their criteria is to be good PR. And so a lot of these teams are more worried about getting somebody in the car that's going to look good for their sponsors than getting somebody in the car that's going to do what it needs to get done and behind the wheel, which makes them boring.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. But I don't know. If they try, like, the one thing is, NASCAR isn't trying. They're really not. They're kind of stuck in the spot where if NASCAR doesn't try something, in 30 years, I don't expect NASCAR to really be around as much.
I don't expect NASCAR to be here in 10 years. I don't even give them 30.
There you go, right? So regardless, though, they have to do something.
I think I disagree with you. I think they are very much trying. The car that they just put out this year shows that.
Well, see, but the thing is, like, okay, yeah, they put out this new car, whatever else. Okay, cool. But if you don't do anything, like I said, like the Drive to Survive series was fantastic, because even if you didn't do it on the drivers, for example, well, what about doing something on the car as a series that way? Or doing it on the teams themselves. And what do they do? Right? And, that would be an interesting thing. And there would be people that would pick up watching NASCAR. Might not last, but it's something that would rejuvenate the sport again. Because they need that. They absolutely do. So, because like this new car, just putting out a new car ain't going to do that. It's just not. Right? They need to do more than that. And they're not.
I don't know exactly what more they can freaking do, because honestly, it's not something that NASCAR can do to put that show, because unfortunately any like NASCAR putting on a show to showcase they're gonna fuck it up, because that they're, again, the intention and the goal will be in the wrong spot versus somebody from the outside coming in and doing a show like that. But then again, all of those shows, as far as I'm concerned, are bullshit, because anything that is a reality or I'm going to follow whatever, it's like that thing from Jurassic Park where whenever you put yourself into an environment or whatever, you change it. You got some action going on out there?
It's snowing. Yeah, it is snowing.
Snow globe. But anyway, like what I said. Okay, so you stick these film crews or whatever and all of that back in with these teams, and they start doing interviews. We already know anybody who like I grew up in the reality TV generation.
So did I.
Yeah, it's done. It's played out. We already all know that 90% of it is fake and bullshit. Stuff is played and scripted for better views or reactions, and that none of it is actually true to what is actually going on. Number one, a team like Ferrari or McLaren is not going to want what's actually going on be known to their competitors.
Well, there is obviously a certain way to do it. Like I haven't watched the show yet. I've just heard about stuff, and like, yeah, they don't give technical details, obviously, but you know, they kind of show some of the inner workings and whatnot, and whatever else, and then the drivers especially. And like I said, apparently the first season is one of the better ones because they're following the small, right, and it's kind of cool that way. But you know, it's just one of those deals, right?
Like any other freaking thing is, it's normally great the first season or whatever because it's more true to its nature, but the more attention something gets and the more it catches people with money's eye, the more and more corrupt and untrue to its nature a show will get. Look at the first couple seasons of any of the American Choppers or Monster Garage or any of those shows. First season or two is great. It's pretty true to whatever genre or goal that it's trying to get to. And then executives from whatever company is producing the whatever start sticking their fingers in and telling them to do this or do that, or they want it this way, or they want more of this, or they look at ratings from people watching it and then start influencing the show based on what they think people want to see.
Oh, and you're not wrong. Don't get me wrong on that. But because I know like there are some things I shouldn't say that NASCAR hasn't been trying because they've done some weird stuff, like you know
they have done some weird shit like Car of Tomorrow.
Oh no, I'm not even talking about that. Have you heard about the last okay, that dirt race was just stupid. I don't know why they did that.
I kind of liked the dirt race.
Oh, cool concept, but way too powerful of cars to be doing that.
I think they needed to take it to more of the tracks that like Irwindale and different places. I don't think they need to be doing it at like Bristol. I think they need to take it to actual dirt tracks.
Yeah, if they or even build a big dirt track for
there is
event,
Tony Stewart has a super nice facility. That's Irwindale. And it is specifically designed for big, like, you think these stock cars on dirt are horrible. There are cars that make more than the stock cars do that run dirt all the time.
Oh, yeah, but the difference is they're actually designed for it, right? These NASCARs aren't.
So, that's what made them fun.
I mean, it was fun, but it was a disaster. It did not go well, from what I heard. But that race that they just did,
the bullring one,
weeks ago. Try to remember what was that race that they did? Because it wasn't actually a racetrack. They kind of built a racetrack like
inside of a stadium. Yeah, it's a bullring one.
Yeah, it's like that seemed like a terrible idea. I guess it worked out, but
I don't know. I didn't watch it. I kind of had an interest in it, but I never watched it. I'm interested in it not because I thought it was awesome, but just because it was curiosity. They had like back in the day, the NASCAR video game had a track in it like that. They called it the Bullring. And they used to run the lower class cars the Craftsman Truck series and the open wheel modifieds in the video game on that track. So I mean that concept has been there for a while, but I'm surprised that a football stadium let them do that.
You put enough money.
Well, yeah, that football stadium had to have been hurting for fucking revenue.
Probably. I mean, and the one thing is though, or they may not have been hurting, but just like, hey, you throw, $250 million in front of us. Well, hey, sure, we'll let you use our stadium for that. Why not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or something like that, right? Like I don't know how much they paid for that, or whatever. But you throw money at anybody, they'll let you do whatever you want. It's just how it works, right? And especially like, because at that point, I think the football season was like done, at least for where that stadium was going to be.
Right.
So didn't matter for that, right? And so it worked out that way. And apparently, there was a lot of people that tuned in and went off without a hitch, I guess. So it was interesting considering how small the track was, from what I heard.
Yeah. What was it? It couldn't have been more than a quarter-mile track.
Yeah, it was something like that. Like, it was only, I think it was like 0.5 of a mile or something stupid. Like, it was just tiny, and you could only pass people in like one spot too. So
well, welcome to short track racing. I mean,
don't get me wrong, that's true. But a lot of the tracks that NASCAR runs on, you have a little more opportunity than that.
Well, I mean,
right?
you look at Cletus's track, the Freedom Factory. And they had those little 4-cylinder cars there the other day. I think it was last Saturday. Do you look at the amount of passing that they could get done there? There was only a couple places you could end up passing. There.
Oh yeah, I mean, and yeah, oh for sure, but I don't know. It sounds like when I heard about that, like, that sounds like a terrible idea, but that worked out, I guess. So, like, not the Freedom Factory thing, the NASCAR thing.
Right.
Because anything that Cletus McFarland does, it just explodes online. So,
and the thing is that it's good for that sport because the small town, small short track races, they are having trouble keeping events going because of not the cost of the small end of the sport, but just like kind of like the NHRA stuff, where there is an overhead from the organizations that are smothering the day-to-day aspects of the sport itself. So
that's why actually, like there's a now this is probably like, when I start racing the cars and whatever else and, doing drag racing, I'll probably end up going to Rimby, which is not far from here. It's a little over an hour from here. And the thing is, they have their place set up perfectly. Because now it's only their whole facility. So, okay, they have an 1/8 mile drag strip, although there's enough room and they're planning on making it a 1/4 mile.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Then beside that, you have, when they do this every now and then, during the summertime, they'll have mud box that's right beside the track, which is pretty cool actually. And then they have a dirt oval on the other side as well. Like, it's such a perfect setup that they have there, and they're in such a small town where their overheads aren't that bad.
Well, the thing is, it's not that part that I'm talking about. Okay, so your day-to-day drag racing stuff. Okay, so when they have people rent the track for test and tunes, when they have just small-time drag racing events, that stuff, normally the track makes most of the money off of that stuff. Let's say they bring in NHRA. Okay, so you want to hold an event that's an official NHRA event. What happens is the NHRA takes so much off of the top to hold the event there that the track makes almost no money off of any of the ticket sales.
Oh yeah, I'm not talking about those kind of tracks. There's only one track here in Alberta that will have NHRA, and that's Edmonton.
Right.
But that's
what I'm talking
Castle
about is so
Raceway,
a lot of
big
this,
brand.
a lot of the small circle tracks that we have in all over the place here in the United States. Okay, NASCAR, who governs a lot of the circle track racing, so modifieds, wheel-in, ARCA, a lot of those series, for them to hold an event at a track, they're taking so much overhead that the tracks are having trouble staying open, but they need those big events to draw in the crowds. So it's a catch-22. We need these big events to bring attention to our track, but these big events are suffocating our revenue.
Yeah, see,
and so what happens is the tracks die.
Yeah, for the most part, here, like, tracks don't die in that sense. The only reason why any of the tracks died, to be honest, I only know of one that has in my lifetime, which was there was a track out by Raymond that was a dirt track, and the one issue that they started to have was stuff was just getting too expensive, for them in general, of overhead costs, and even I remember actually because they had claimer car races where you could after the race, if you had the money, you could buy that car, and you could keep using it until somebody else claims it and buys it off you, right? It was a really neat idea actually that they had, and the cost of that kept going up because I think it started out at like $500, and then it went to like 6, 7, 8, and I think it ended up at like $1,200 for these claimer cars, right? By the end of it, where your average person that came out there, if they wanted to, might actually be able to afford it in the beginning, but not at the end, right? And it kind of lost a lot of its appeal to people at that point, sadly.
Well, I mean,
and it was so much fun.
That's
like,
why I was saying that these tracks are dying. It's because it's because not only the cost of maintenance and everything going up, but then, like I said, then you have the overheads of these big organizations saying that we need this much money to come to your track.
Well, and depending on where you are, because like here, that's not really a thing here. To where big organizations are coming through and hosting events like that. It's not really.
Well, you don't have USAC and all of that stuff up in Canada.
Well, we have bigger events and whatever else.
No, USAC is like the quarter midgets and the those are what. Those are the organizations that I am talking about that are taking so much off of the top of these smaller dirt tracks that need them to come to the smaller dirt tracks to be able, it's a catch-22. The smaller dirt tracks needs those big organizations to come to them, but those big organizations are taking so much off of the top that it kills the track because they don't have the money to invest back into the track.
Yeah, I can see that. For stuff like that up here, actually, a lot of the time that I've noticed, because these bigger sort of organizations or whatever else that do come in every now and then, they will mostly just eat the costs because they realize that these tracks don't have a lot of money, and it's kind of cool that way. They'll give a bigger opportunity that way. They'll take the money off of the bigger tracks, like for example, for the only quarter-mile track in Alberta currently is in Edmonton at Castle Raceway. But that's a major sponsored track, and it's been around for a number of years.
Yeah, and that might be the difference between up in Canada versus down here.
Yeah, and probably is. Now, is it the same across the entire country? I doubt it. But at least the tracks that I've seen here in Alberta, it's that way, right? So, and yeah, and I haven't been to too many. I've only been to 2 circle track, dirt tracks, right?
I agree with that, Pilot. Cletus said he said Cletus did his track right. Yeah, and the fact that he purposely bought the track to try to start bringing different motorsports back to the people, which is his whole point of buying. Not only was that a place for him to be able to do his YouTube stuff without having to worry about, you know, somebody else stepping in and saying, hey, you can't do this or you can't do that or you have to do it this way or that way. He also did it to start bringing different things back, like the small town circle track stuff like he had there last weekend, the drifting events that he, you know, to give his buddies that have the, you know, what is it, Taylor Ray. Is it Taylor Ray? No. Who the hell has the drifting stuff that he's friends with? Anyway,
I have no idea.
he's had several events where he's had them come out and host their drifting event at his track, and other things like that. He's brought all kinds of different things, motorsports wise, back to the public and trying to gain awareness so that way we stop losing these small circle tracks, because that's what happened to the track that he has now. It died 10 years ago.
Well,
Yeah, DeSoto Speedway.
Yep.
yeah, like and I know, and there are some tracks that you'll see that are not very many though that are abandoned. Like I know, actually driving out, actually I think it's towards, you know, Raymond there here in Alberta.
We have so many abandoned tracks, so many.
Yeah. Well, the difference is though too population, right? Compared to like we don't have near as much as what you guys have, even, you know, in the province compared to your states. We just don't.
I mean, we have some really, really big tracks that have died. What is it? Is it? I think Darlin.
Nazareth Speedway.
Well, yeah, that's right in our backyard. Nazareth died. You have
Nazareth's
the
Rockingham.
Rockingham. What was that other one? Is it Wilkes-Barre?
Yeah, Wilkes-Barre. North Carolina, it's gone.
Yeah, and that's just the big tracks. That's not even the small, like, 1/8 mile and 1/4 mile freaking small dirt and paved ovals that died as well, and drag strips. There is so many.
Clearfield Speedway down there by Clearfield, that was a 5/8 mile asphalt. Then you have the motor drome down there in Smith, and they're on 70 just off the turnpike, was a half mile, and it shut down 5 years ago, I guess.
Yeah, so many.
The only one left still running is Jennerstown, if it's still open.
Yeah,
you know, it's basically,
so many of them
you
went
got
belly
that little
up.
track up there by you in Jennerstown. We don't have that many asphalt tracks in PA anymore.
No, they all went belly up.
Yeah,
we don't. I don't know of any asphalt tracks here in Alberta. When it comes to ovals like that, I don't think there is any.
Well,
there is only
Canada's probably not
dirt
as
ones.
super big on the frickin' ovals to begin with, like we were down here. You know, you go with the 60s and 70s and 80s, oval tracks were the thing. You know.
Yeah. Well, at least here, I don't know of any here in Alberta, and I don't know of any like across the country. I'm sure there are some, like especially in Ontario, for example, but they have the luxury of being right by the states. Like the bulk of, like, where all the population is in Ontario is right at the border. Like,
I would say down here, every 5th or 6th bigger town normally had at least a dirt track. There was so many.
well, see, and the only like big track that I know that shut down was in Calgary, and it was called Race City, and it was I think that was a 1/4 mile track back in the day of drag strip. But the problem is where they built it was stupid. Where Edmonton with Castle Raceway did it right, they built it by the airport, so nobody could complain about noise.
Yeah, that's a lot of what happened. Well, the thing is they get built in places where there wasn't people. And then what happens is progress and, you know, whatever starts encroaching on these racetracks. The racetracks didn't move, people moved.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And then you end up with people close to them, and then they become a nuisance or whatever, and yeah, that is a thing that happens.
Yeah, well, look at what? How did that not go in? Oh my god! Right?
Go. Oh wait,
Yeah,
no.
no. Grubauer saved that. It robbed Johnny Gaudreau. Just absolutely robbed him. But it's fine. How did he save that? Oh my god. But yeah, I'm actually trying to see that. Oh, it did go off Larson. Okay, that's why. But yeah, so like, and the one thing is, because like with Race City, because they essentially built it like close to downtown, which is a bad idea. Like, because and how it's designed, like, the airport isn't like on the edge of the city; it's more center, right? And that's kind of a problem, when you try and make a track like that. Where Edmonton did it right, yeah, they made it right by the airport, and it's on the edge of the city, and there is no development going out there for a reason. They make sure it doesn't.
A lot of our tracks aren't near cities to begin with.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, because of how spread out we are population-wise here, it makes it a lot harder. You have to build it towards those bigger cities for the most part. Like, I know that there is a actual circuit track, and I don't know why they didn't build a drag strip there. Like, it's such a missed opportunity. And it's just outside of Calgary. Like, it's about, I don't know, 40K north of Calgary. And when that's finally built, which should be open probably this summer or next, I'm not sure. But like, that would be really fun, and I absolutely would love to take my cars out there and whip them around the track and see what they can do. But the only problem is, though, right now they're only selling memberships, and their memberships are $30,000 a year.
Wow.
It's like, yeah, they're, and the one problem is, when you do that, okay, the people who can afford that in Alberta is not very many. Now, take those people that can afford it and actually want to go do it. You're like at such a niche in the market that track, they will have open track days, but if that's their main model without doing a lot of open track days, they're screwed. They won't last very long. But yeah, it's just, and for the people that can actually afford to do that have the caliber of car that actually want to do that, right? Because you'd have to have something special to be doing that, right?
Yeah.
To be spending that much a year to go racing. It's just, yeah.
And some people have more than that in their engine.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Yes. But I don't really know of anybody here in Alberta that has built their car for a circuit. They just don't exist here because we don't have tracks like that. Now, people might be starting to now that track's going to be open. But everybody builds drag cars because that's all we have. All we have are drag strips. And then the odd circle track here and there. That's it.
Chris has got roundy round cars.
Mm-hmm.
He's got quite a few of them.
Two dirt late models, an asphalt super late model, a vintage sprint car from Silver Spring Speedway era down there in Mechanicsburg, and 2 former NASCAR Cup cars.
That's cool.
Pilot says his brother-in-law is part owner of the Porsche dealership in Atlanta.
That's cool. Yeah, and actually, oh yeah, because there's this guy actually. Me and him had a little bet going quite a while back. Like, this was back in late August, early September. To where we were having a race to see who would become monetized first. And the loser, whenever we meet, because, where he is actually, there is a highly likelihood that at some point we'll beat each other. Then whoever loses buys the other one, dinner one night, whenever we meet. Which is fine. I'm totally fine with doing that. But he's actually, he's got some dirt racers, and actually he's got 4-banger Fox bodies. that he's like, hey, whenever you come out, let me know, and if there's a race going on, you can drive one of my cars. I'm like, nah, man, that'd be cool.
Pilot says he bought a race car for fun. That's kind of a rich person thing to do.
I was gonna say, I mean, well, mind you, a race car is for fun. Let's be honest here.
No, it's very serious work. Damn it.
Very expensive hobby.
It is a very expensive hobby.
Hey,
well, not building a race car, just building a car is an expensive hobby.
Well, you can look at a little inline 6 Mustang out there. I've got, I don't know, $6-7 into it. It's an inline 6 car that's nowhere near done.
Those cars that Chris is hauling for me, this, whatever, there's $10,000 wrapped up into that black car.
Jesus. And it looks like that?
Well, that's what happens when it gets neglected.
Yeah, but Jesus.
It's been
built, stripped.
Exactly.
That thing's been stripped more than a dancer at a regular club.
And Chris also knows where I've been in my life for the last freaking 10, 15 years that I've had that car, and how many times it's been put on a back burner or freaking stored somewhere because life got in the way.
Yeah, up to 8 years ago, it was beautiful.
Yeah. It was a pretty car.
He was married to a leech. It was sucking the life out of him.
Yeah, sadly, that's the thing that will happen. That's unfortunate. Like, the one thing is, I did things right, even though I don't recommend people do this, but, it worked out for me to where I dailied my project.
Well, I did daily. That Nova was a daily all the way up until 2012.
Yeah, you got Jean Grey.
Well, no, I didn't get Jean Grey. The tire blew on the car, and we ended up dailying the Cavalier after that.
That's right.
Yay, and I got more points too. Yay. Yeah. Well, because the thing is, I've never done like a full teardown of my car either. Like, it's always been, hey, replace a part here and there and whatever else. Like, will there be a teardown of the car? Oh yeah, it's happening at some point, but not yet.
That black car, it's on its third motor, its second transmission, its second rear end, its second
set of tires,
its second full interior, and I've had 2 different sets of wheels for it, and probably 3 different styles of wheel tire combination setups. And it's been in 2 accidents.
Yeah. That doesn't help with that whole situation. Because, like, with me, with that car, because, like, something, I was talking with Roy Marco, actually, the last time I was up there, which was a few weeks ago now. That was actually when I last worked on the Civic, right? So, actually, that was about 2 weeks ago. And the thing is, like, he said, oh, yeah, like, if you want to put a supercharger on this inline 6, excluding anything I'd want to do internally to the motor to make sure it doesn't blow up, he could probably build me everything because he's got access to a machine shop and can custom design the stuff for about $500, whatever time he might have it, right? And that's something that I'm seriously considering of, getting like an Eaton M90 or something like that on top of there.
Whatever you think it's going to cost, times it by 3.
Yeah, well, I am going off of somebody who has done this before.
This is Roy Marco. Still times it by 3 because there's always things that come up that are unexpected. Me and Chris are really, really good at proving that example right.
Oh, don't get me wrong. With everything...
TV show.
Chris, you're
yeah.
Chris, yes, you're sounding like an 80s robot.
Yes.
And we got a lousy spot for service.
Now you're good.
Now you're better.
All right.
I was going to say, our antics would rival any Beavis and Butthead Laurel and Hardy, any of those comedy shows. Our antics stuff when we try to do something would be right at the top of the charts
Yeah,
with
every
those.
time we try to do something, like 6 things go wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference with you building a car and with somebody like when Roy builds a car.
Are you saying that Roy is? I am inferior to Roy? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Well, from what you're talking about, yes.
I'm just saying shit goes wrong. I'm not saying that I am not a good mechanic.
I'm not saying.
I had nothing to do with the wench that decided to not work today, or poor Chris's truck blowing up the other time, or.
Well, see, like the thing is, something like even when we've worked on my car, there have been things that have gone wrong, but it's so simple and will take no time at all that it's not so bad. Although I will say that last carburetor swap that I had done on the car, because he did it for me. Yeah, that took about 4 hours longer than it should have.
You need to start praying to the car gods, because you've had an incredible amount of luck, and at some point that's going to run out.
Well, the difference is I don't full send my vehicles either and stuff like that, right? Like,
Chris, do I full send my vehicles?
Hey, you're building vehicles with enough power that you would.
That's not the reason why I'm having issues.
No, I know that, but because the thing is, your cars have sat forever and been neglected and whatever else. That doesn't help, right?
I'd have to say yes, you do full send your vehicles to this storage spot, this storage spot, this storage spot, and this other storage spot.
Don't notice me, senpai. I'd like to stay here for a little bit longer.
See, like the difference is with my stuff, for example, I've gone through just about everything, and at least the 81, the 86 is a little different. I haven't really worked on that too much yet. Like Lilo, like I've replaced a water pump, I've replaced a thermostat. That's all I've done so far, and I've adjusted the carburetor below.
Let's see.
That's it.
Jean Grey, we rebuilt the top end in it. Then it blew up again, so we pulled it out. I sold it to Chris. We went and got a whole new engine, dropped it in. Never got a carburetor that worked right on it. Then the transmission decided to Then the transmission. Oh well, no. We even got we had to find motor mounts for it that actually worked. Because the motor mounts that I got with the engine weren't the right ones. They were motor mounts for a 400, but they were motor mounts for a standard framed car. So if you don't know anything about the Trans Ams themselves have special motor mounts.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
Because the engine sits lower and further back than a standard car. But not only were these motor mounts not for a Firebird. I mean, we're not for a Trans Am. They weren't for a Firebird. They were for a full-size car.
GTO or something like that?
Like a Catalina.
Okay.
Like a Catalina or a Bonneville.
See? Yeah, I haven't come across stuff like that quite yet. Like, although I will say, ordering parts from Rock Auto for the Civic, the one thing is there was a couple parts that were just unusable. Yeah. Like, and I've had some stuff like that come up, but it's not been that bad.
Okay. Wait.
The Civic was the worst one because, well, the plug wires that we got, now they were on clearance, and I can't return them or anything, and they're cooked. They were sitting in a box for a long time, and they're just
junk
starting to crumble away, right? But then the cap as well for cap and rotor didn't even fit the distributor. So there's that. And yeah, so actually we didn't replace the cap, we replaced the rotor, and we just sanded down the the points on the cap, or whatever you want to call them. Contact points, there we go. Yeah. And so yeah, it's just one of those things, and with the Civic, there's hardly any parts available for them. Oh my god, guys. Jeez.
Well, I mean, that's like, okay, let's put it this way. Okay. So before we even got the engine for Jean Grey, okay, I saved up a crap ton of money worked my ass off, got everything saved up, and I was buying this engine off of this dude down in Tennessee. And so we got everything together. I went out and actually bought my green truck with the intent that I knew that I was going to go down and going to pick up engines and things like that. That's the whole reason I got a truck instead of getting a different car when I needed a vehicle. So we get everything. I have the truck. I've got the truck ready to go. It's got new tires. It's been freshly inspected. Everything that needed to be fixed on it that I thought needed to be fixed was fixed. And so we start heading down. Now, the truck we've only had for a couple months, maybe a month or two. So we start heading down to Tennessee. We make it down into Virginia. We stop for the night. And then we head out in the morning. 15 minutes into the trip in the morning, the engine locks up on the truck. I'm 9 hours from home with a truck dead on the water on the side of the road in the middle of a snowstorm. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Shit that just doesn't. It's not necessarily my skills at being a mechanic that fail. This is just shit happening. So
with,
I ended up having
dragon.
We ended up having to call a friend of ours, and they came down. We ended up having to rent a U-Haul with a trailer because the trailer lights on his truck. Because we originally just rented a trailer. And he was going to use his truck to haul my truck home. We get to the U-Haul store, and the hitch lights on his truck didn't work. So the plug on his truck didn't work. So we ended up having to rent a U-Haul to haul the U-Haul trailer to get my truck home. We get up to where my truck was at, and the back tire of the truck is literally hanging off of the back of the trailer. We get it home, and yes, the 318 that was in that engine, was in that truck, was completely locked up. All the bottom bearings, it was oil starved. Not exactly sure why it ended up being oil starved, but we replaced it. I ended up busting my ass to save up money a second time, because not only did I have to then recoup all of my money for spending at the U-Haul, getting a new engine, getting that engine in, and all of that stuff, but I then had to make all of the money back up to be able to go buy the parts that I was originally going down to Tennessee to go get. End up going down there a second time. We get everything. We get it home. There was no real issues. And then we start doing the engine swap, and we get the engine. We didn't really have any issues getting the engine in the car, but when we went to go put the engine down on the mounts, we realized the mounts were wrong. So now I got an engine half in a freaking car that I can't finish putting in because I don't have the right motor mounts. We ended up going out to Philly. I forget who that was. It wasn't you, Chris, that had the car out in Philly, right? It was somebody else.
No, it was your other buddy, Chris.
Yeah, the other buddy, Chris. I stole the motor mounts out of his car right in his driveway. Put his engine up on wood blocks in his car. Get all the way back here, only for the engine mounts that I'd ordered off of eBay that said they weren't going to get shipped for 2 months to be at my door. So I had the correct motor mounts show up at my door literally as I was pulling up to my house. I literally watched the UPS driver put them on my front porch as I was pulling up. After spending 6 hours pulling the freaking motor mount, going all the way out to Philly, pulling the motor mounts and coming back. Put the new motor mounts in and get everything in, and we get the car running. We got it running, and as soon as we were sitting there trying to get the carburetor situated so that way it would stay running and whatever, I went to go top off the coolant, and we noticed that the coolant is full of pink Pepto-Bismol. In other words, the space in the radiator between the transcooler and the engine side ruptured and flooded the transmission full of coolant and the radiator full of transmission fluid.
Yeah, see, I've never, other than what happened with Lilo, you know, when I seized the motor on her, but to be honest, like, I did seize it on the final drive, technically, delivering it to the guy, but it wasn't until like a week later that it was finally seized up, or at least whenever it got cold. You know, the motor, you know, cooled down. That's when it seized. So, you know, and I never let it do that, obviously, because I was driving it 2 hours or an hour and a half to the guy's shop. But like, yeah, I've been really lucky with stuff. Don't get me wrong. And you know, I don't have a truck. Like, I've wanted to get one, but I can't really afford one right now. So you know, it's gonna be a while.
Right.
Like, before I can. Like, and even though, yeah, I'm getting some money here soon, and it'll actually, you know, I could afford a truck. I'm not probably gonna end up buying one.
My point is my car experience has been a series of unfortunate events. And a lot of people end up that, you know, they'll go, oh, this project should only take this, and then once you get, you know, balls deep into the project, you realize that, oh wait, you need this or you need that, or this doesn't work and I need to go get this. That's what we were saying, that, you know, yes, you put down on paper, this is how much it should cost, times it by 3.
Yeah, depending on what it is, you're not wrong. Like, like, and one thing is, for me, stuff that takes way too long to do is anything to do with a cooling system for me.
Yes, you have the bane of your existence is cooling systems.
You know, like when a water pump, you know, like, you know, a water pump on a 302 should maybe take you not even an hour. You know, to fully swap it.
Depends on your accessories, yeah.
But I mean, even if you have a bunch of accessories, it's not that bad on a 302. It's actually very simple. Yeah, it took me 3 days. I don't know why, but it took me 3 days. Right? Getting a thermostat housing
you're
kind
just
of
not
off.
on par with Rory Marco. That's just where that is.
Oh, don't get me wrong. He could blow an engine apart in probably like 20 minutes. I swear to God. Like, he is a god when it comes to
what I went to school for. Engines are my thing. Transmissions are not.
Yeah, no, you blow up, like, transmissions are the bane of your existence.
No, only Dodge ones. GM ones, I can blow apart a turbo 350 or turbo 400 with my eyes closed and put it back together.
Well, I mean, yeah, you have the issues
the Dodge transmission, and they are overly complicated and a pain in the ass.
Yeah, because and the one thing is, because I've never properly blown up something. Like, yeah, I seized that motor, but again, it was still drivable until it cooled down.
Technically, the transmission isn't blown up. It's just it's lost first and second gear. They both slip really bad. It still moves. I can put the car in gear and it will move. I just gotta max out the RPM to get it to do so.
I mean, his is like fucked. So.
Did you put a new torque converter in that when you put it in?
Yes, I did.
Go read the chat.
It's actually more like 6 times that I rebuilt that trans, but that's just, you know.
Yeah, see, like, I've never had a transmission pull for the car. Now, don't get me wrong, in Stitch, I'm going to be doing a tranny swap in the car. Boy, you know.
But there's a difference between doing a tranny swap and rebuilding a tranny.
Yeah, the one thing is, whatever manual I get, which is probably going to be a T5 manual, I'm probably just going to end up getting it rebuilt anyway. You know, before I do it, just in case. Because you never know. You know, it's better off just having everything new and good, whatever else. Now, I should never have enough power in that car to grenade said tranny, but just in case, you know.
All you need is a good hill. A good steep hill to kill a transmission.
You're not wrong, but you know, put a proper tranny cooler on it, you'll be fine.
Too much weight in a steep hill, you're grenade it.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
Wow, you're
like
just not right.
that's his fiance.
Yeah, I'm disagreeing with you. I don't know. This table behind me turned out just fine. That's
Huh?
shut up.
Yeah, she's bashing him.
see, maybe that's what you have to
Is
do
is she
with your
making fun of your
transmissions.
table that decided to puke itself on the floor a few times?
Yes.
Well, see, there you go. So you got to make your transmissions out of wood. That way,
There you
keep
go.
together. There, yeah, wood casing on your Dodge Tranny.
Yeah, there you go.
By the way,
It'll just make it that much stronger.
hey, there are wooden structures that have lasted a lot longer than metal ones out there. So there's that.
We found out why that was. That wasn't my fault.
That's what they all say.
It was missing the S clip between the outer gear selector on the side of the transmission and the actual valve in the transmission that shifts gears.
Ah, okay.
So I was shifting the outside of the transmission, but it wasn't changing anything in the valve body. As soon as I pulled the pan down, that's the first thing that I saw.
And I should mention actually, because I found out something very exciting about my car, my 81, because everything's doing that carburetor swap, and everything is just dialed nicely. Is if the tires are wet and the road is wet, it will do burnouts.
There you go.
It never used to do that until that carburetor swap.
I did, Chris. I did notice something that was missing that should have been in the trunk of the black car.
The trunk lid?
No, the Buick, the Buick Pontiac Olds fucking Turbo 350.
Oops.
That was sitting in the trunk of the black car. Because that's where the S pin came from. That is in Jean Grey now. Was out of that transmission. And it wasn't there. My engine table?
Borrowed it.
Wait, even my engine... What engine table? Oh, that wasn't my fault either.
That's why I'm saying you're cursed.
Oh.
Yeah,
the glass top to my engine table that shattered.
Wait, your engine table has a glass top.
You've never seen my engine table?
Oh, yeah, that thing was a work of beauty art.
I have a small block Chevy engine that I turned into a coffee
that's
table.
what you're talking about. Okay. Sorry, I thought when you said engine table, I thought like a table that you're gonna build engines on. I'm going glass table. That sounds like a dumb idea.
No, it was a really gorgeous. I was using it mainly as a patio table, but it is a really gorgeous table, and I had this really nice, pretty fluted, like 3/8 inch thick glass top on it, and it was on our front porch the one day, and there was a storm, and a 2x4 blew onto the table and shattered the tabletop.
Oof. Yeah, shit like that will happen to me. Like, so yeah, maybe she's right. You might be cursed.
Maybe.
Because like I have never had, like, when driving a car, I've never had major issues with it ever. Like, yeah, finicky things, absolutely, but it actually breaking down on me, never. Now, in saying that though, there was one vehicle that we had. It was actually my dad's truck, which was an 81 D150 with a slant six in it. And the rad blew up on us actually coming back from my cousin's wedding. No, it wasn't that day. What was that? That's right. Yeah, sorry. That was. Yeah. Oh yeah. I know why it blew up. Like, it was so freaking hot that day. the Slant 6 that in this truck, don't get me wrong, it's great, but when you have the stock rad in it, when it's like super hot outside, it's just gonna blow up. And it's not a matter if, it's when. It's one of the reasons why, like in my convertible, yeah, even if like I could just get that copper core rad, record and whatever else, and it might be okay. But I'd much rather upgrade it instead, which is what I'm doing. Plus, it's not worth at least on that, it's not worth getting that rebuilt when you can get an aluminum rad for like an extra $100. Like, at that point, just go with the aluminum. It's better.
We have 7 people in here right now, and only 3 likes.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to like it. Hang on. You gotta remind me sometimes, okay?
It's been scrolling at the bottom of the screen for the last hour and a half.
Yeah, you think I read that?
Hey, you told me to remind you. It's literally sitting there reminding people, scrolling across the screen.
Yeah, well, sometimes you just have to say it because
She's in a mood tonight, ain't she?
Yeah.
Totally. That's
it's
exactly
because she
what
called
this
me
is.
while I was in the middle of the live stream on her way home, and so you didn't get to talk to her on the way home. So she's being grumpy.
I like her.
Oh, she's something.
Yeah, you can't say too much because
What?
I
I said that you're something.
Yeah.
Something right up your freaking ass.
Always. When are you not?
And maybe it's not because you didn't talk to me on the way home. Maybe it's because I was at work for the last 42 hours and I have a headache and nothing to drink and no one to give me attention.
She's ordering 1 attentions.
Yeah, we do that every now and then.
Why do you not have anything to drink? You have water. There's a whole water fountain.
Water doesn't count.
Well, what else? There's soda out there.
Ew.
You like the Mountain Dew.
There's no more Mountain Dew.
Yes, there is. There's a whole case of Mountain Dew.
Nuh-uh.
Go out there and go look. It's
You have
underneath
nothing to worry about until she asks for dill pickles and ice cream.
Oh, hold on a second. I has to take care of a brat.
So, I can tell that Miss Formy is not being like that with you. So that's nice.
No, she's a gem. She's a real rarity.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's not like I haven't been in that situation before. I'm a woman after all. We do go through that. But yeah.
It's like her driving out. I mean, plans just got all mucked up with this other kid that was helping us. We were supposed to be back to the house out there Tuesday, and she was going to ride back with us to be back home again over this way because she took a week's vacation. We're going to take sleds out and go ride. That didn't work out. He didn't show up, and this, that, and the other, so she decided to drive herself, and yeah, here we are. The car gets rear-ended by a truck, where if everything had worked, we'd have been back over here Wednesday, Thursday, and she'd never been there to get the car wiped out. But, oh well.
It happens, right? Sadly.
Poor car ain't 3 years old yet. Shit, this will be the next big claim on it. I mean, the first one was over $16,000
See,
just for radiant heat damage.
Rick. See now, like, depending on your insurance company, like, you'd think the thing would just get written off at this point. From that. But
I wish they would have totaled it the first time. I mean, for me to use it for a trade-in or a sale, it's not worth anything now with a over $16,000 repair bill on it.
like,
I mean, all they have it listed as accident.
Yeah, see, you'd have to write the car off to get the money out of it. Sadly.
Yeah.
Because like the obviously it's interesting. Like insurance companies don't care about the status of the car that way. You know, if it's rebuilt or whatever else like that. But you know, for value, but private
Yeah.
sale they do. So
I owe more on it now than what it's even booked for, so it's ridiculous.
what even is it?
What's up?
What even is it? What is
Yeah,
the
pretty
car?
much 2019 Mitsubishi Outlander, all-wheel drive. One of like crossover SUV type.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
car size, but I mean, it all folds down like a. You just fold all the seats down. I'm surprised how much stuff you could pack in it.
Hey, you'd be surprised at what you can put in smaller vehicles. Like the thing is, actually, it was funny. My dad owned a 2001 Saturn SC2 for a while. He had it for about a year and a half, 2 years. And the thing is, very small car. And it sits so low to the ground that you have to like physically climb down into the car to sit in it.
You mean like my Trans Am?
It's lower than your Trans Am, I promise you that.
Uh-uh.
I have sat in even lower Trans Ams. That thing sat lower than a Slam Trans Am. I promise you. Because it's like it's literally only about that far off the ground from the factory. So like, and it's ridiculous.
It's a go-kart on steroids.
It pretty much was, except for it wasn't very fast. It was nippy, but it wasn't fast. Now, if it was a manual, it may have been better, but it was automatic. So fun little car though. And that could have been my first car. However, I found it way too uncomfortable. That's the reason why I didn't keep it as my first car. Otherwise, I liked it. But it's a good car. However, ended up selling it, got a little bit of commission on that, and bought my car. That's it. Yeah, because you know, if my first car was that Saturn and not my Mustang, I probably wouldn't have a YouTube channel right now. So, you know, because there's only so much you can do. There's Saturn SC2, and people will care. Which is like you have to do something absolutely wild to it for people to care.
Tannerite.
Oh no! You put LS4 in one of those. If you can somehow shoehorn it in, yes, somebody will care about that. Somebody. Or a 3.8 supercharger or something like that. You do a build series on something like that.
Tannerite.
I'm sure you'd actually get quite a few views on it just because of that's kind of wild.
Tannerite. It would come in and out like a bang.
Okay. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. It'd be wouldn't be a long-lasting thing by any stretch of the imagination.
Half a millisecond.
Yeah, but you know, it's one of those things that like it's interesting because there could have been so many different vehicles in my first vehicle, and I'm always curious of like, would I have the success with these vehicles that I do now? Obviously, the car I was going to look at the day I bought my Mustang.
Her comment, and then she did the game right after it.
Because
those two just went together in the chat.
That day that I bought my Mustang was a 1979 Mercury Coupe with a 302 in it.
I have figured out what my car problem is.
You? No, I'm kidding.
My first car was a Ford.
Oh, it's not a Ford. Yeah, see, that might be your issue. Come over to the dark side of Ford.
No, my first car was a Ford. That's my problem.
How? Oh, so you're cursed by Ford because you abandoned the Ford.
I shoved a Ford up a fucking Hyundai's ass.
That'll do it. Actually, what even was your first car that way?
All right, there you go. Anybody who can answer what my first car was, I will top Cat's score today.
You see, I don't even know. I don't know if you've ever told me that. So I don't think you have.
It has been the answer to many a freaking free NOVAtazz cash. It is. It is the same as Jess's first car.
Different color.
No. Not even the first car that I drove was a 75 Nova.
Yeah, well, he did
very
say it was
rich Las Vegas call girl. Pick the other name for them.
Jesus.
Come on, Chris. You want free NOVAtazz cash? Miss Formy, come on. You could. I don't know. I don't. Does she? If she answers it, does that count? As far as winning the sweepstakes, because she is technically family.
I don't know. Does it? I mean,
Actually,
I don't think I have those rules in place to freaking ban her from being able to win. So
no, you don't. I mean, the thing is,
considering I make up the rules and the points don't matter.
Oh Jesus, they are actually. Oh, okay, yeah. I just saw a commercial that said Joe versus Carol for like the Tiger King crap. Yeah, that's coming to Showcase. Like, oh my god.
That's like so 2 years ago.
It is, but I never watched it, and I never will.
You know, this question is like the most used question I have done for giving away NOVAtazz cash ever.
Well, there
Who
you
is
go.
Bradley?
You got one answer in the chat.
Who is Bradley? Is that Chris? Is that your kid? I think that's Chris's kid.
Well, he's laughing at you, so.
Well, duh, that's his last name. Duh.
Yeah, you only hung out 4 hours, right?
Yeah. What year?
Is that correct?
Well, I'm waiting for the thingy. No.
I'm just throwing a random number. I mean, here's the thing. If you double my points, that's just going to be so unfair for everybody else.
Oh, I wouldn't double your points.
That's rude.
I said I would top your points, so all I have to do is give you $1 to top your own points.
Although
this is punishing you because you have been on my show more than most people in the last year. And this question has came up, I can't tell you how many times.
Yes, I don't.
So yes, I'm punishing you.
I mean, that's fine. I don't remember everything because, like, with me, I don't remember
Nova loaded and on the road. That was like how many hours ago?
You're such a GM guy. Like, you're such a GM guy, right?
Yeah.
That I don't think about that.
You're all wrong.
So,
Jess, you can answer the question. You got to put it in the chat. Because
he wants the interaction on his video.
Because she's had such colorful commentary already.
Right?
And just like before. What if I don't want to like you today? And right after that, Jack come in with the thing, I gamble all. I mean, perfect. I don't know if y'all seen it or not. It's perfect.
There you go. She answered it for you.
What? Yes. It was a Forest Green 95 4-door Escort. And yes, it has been the answer on this channel probably close to 20 times.
Well, see, and I think the reason why is that I don't really even think of that either. Because it's a car that I could care less for because it's a 4-door Escort.
Yeah. And
like,
Jess's was red.
See, like, the thing is, 95 Escort, if it's a 2-door hatch, it's kind of cool. But
I like the 4-doors better.
I don't like it. No, I don't like the 4-doors. Give me 2.
And it had a big 1.9 liter, which was the big engine for that year.
Massive engine.
It was compared to the 1.7 liter or whatever that came in most of them.
You have the dual plug heads?
Huh?
You have the dual plug head?
I don't know.
Well, Did it have? Okay. Well, no. They didn't do that with that motor. I think they only did that with 2.3, if I'm not mistaken. Where they did the dual plug head. I think it was 2.3. I could be wrong though. But you're just getting roasted so hard.
Yeah, she's absolutely ruthless.
It's great. I love it.
What'd she say?
She said that that car has been more reliable than any vehicle that Sean has had since we've been together, which is not true. Which is not untrue, because all of the vehicles that I've owned since we've been together was the green truck, which immediately died of transmission issues after me and her got together. The brown truck had all of its issues. The Nova, she's seen run for like 10 minutes.
I think so.
The gray Nova, I bought already stripped out. The Trans Am has run. I wouldn't say it's not been reliable. It's just it's never had a freaking battery in it that made it last long enough. Except for the fact. Huh? Currently, no, because it needs to be inspected.
So no, it is not reliable. It's just less of a rust bucket than the Nova.
Nice. And
Hey, it is too reliable. It reliably collects dust like a big magnet.
Wow.
there you go.
Chris, you're not helping. You're supposed to be on my side. What the hell?
Hey,
Jess says you
I
like.
take her for a ride every now and then and blow the dust off from her for you.
Hey, Jess says that you like her better.
He's probably not wrong. And in complete silence from him. That's great.
Right? Jess says she doesn't hear it. I don't know how much you can hear from her because she's in another room.
Oh, we can hear everything.
That's a good mic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is.
Or a not good mic. I don't know.
My service is fading, so I can't say. But you remember what you said going inside the restaurant?
Women first? Or ladies first?
Yeah, and what I said to him about, you know,
His
I said to him,
his titties were bigger.
I mean, put the two of you side by side, it still applies.
So
Yes.
you like Jess because Jess's titties are bigger.
The bigger yours.
Jess just said I have a pretty big boob. Oh, I'm a big boob. Jess says I'm a big boob. Not that I have big boobs, but I'm a big boob.
Cat, you need to push that other button. That one that's like, beep. We interrupt this programming for a malfunctionable test. We shall return
Yes,
to programming in about 45 minutes to an hour.
I have a malfunctioning brat. That's what I have.
Our host will be right back as soon as he takes care of this anomaly issue.
Don't worry, I got something that'll help.
Jess just told me to fight her.
Oh, do it live on camera, man. We might actually get like a ton of views on it.
Pay-per-view showdown.
Exactly. Take bets.
Wow, really? I might have to go down for technical difficulties. Apparently, Chris is having technical difficulties.
Yeah, he is.
We noticed.
Hey, you know.
She goes, I'm just cranky today.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
hey, and you know,
My service is getting more action than a Nevada cat house.
Well, it's in and out like freaking Mama Squeeze Box. Oh.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say simply, it sucks.
I have training to keep her in her place, but anyone else, she's pretty feisty.
Never underestimate a pissed off woman. Just saying.
Jess, how often can I pin you?
Oh, I know. You can
She goes, I can pin her, but it doesn't mean I can keep her in place. I can't contain the brat. I can contain the body the brat is in.
It doesn't mean you aren't going to be hurting afterwards.
Oh,
That all
God.
depends where you pin her at.
Yeah. It depends on how
Now-
low
now-
of a blow she decides to freaking pull.
If you get a set of those ankle stirrups like the German engineers were so conveniently put inside the Volkswagen Beetle,
Wow.
This live stream is going nowhere and everywhere very fast.
Yes, it is. This is the best. And, it's interesting. We've had a steady 7 people for majority of this live stream. It's
Oh no,
Yeah.
It's been 7 people since if I can
10 o'clock, 10:30.
it's not telling me
man.
what time it is. Oh, a little while. It's not telling
Mhm.
it's not, it doesn't have the time stamp thing.
Lower and lower.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. So who's all in here? We got Brad, we got Kat, we got Jess.
You think we could freak him out if we said we had a shower of sparks behind the trailer?
No, probably not.
Shh.
Just because we haven't doesn't mean you got to
it's-
say it over the chat.
It's just the crap falling off my car. It's good.
Yeah, we're knocking the rust off.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened with the black car. You just go down the road and it starts shaking itself to pieces.
maybe that happened with the transmission. It just
Oh,
fell out. And
I know what
fell
we're
on the highway
doing.
somewhere.
I know what we're doing. We're freeze drying it. It is 8 degrees and dropping.
There you go. You're preserving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Just think.
Cryo freeze.
If I turn around tomorrow and go to Washington, we could probably sell it to the Smithsonian for a long lost rare animal or some such thing.
The rare woolly mammoth.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. It ain't got no mold in it.
Well, see, there is only one woolly mammoth that is a car out there, and it is not a Nova.
You're ruining my fun, Cat.
Hey! Do you know the woolly mammoth, though? Do you know what car that actually is?
No, I know Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, though.
No, see, okay. The woolly mammoth is one of the most famous TV cars ever because it was on Pink's
Shorter, isn't it?
twice. It was a
Maybe we'll see
Chevy
an L.
Vega wagon that had a bunch of black fur glued onto it, and it was fast as hell.
It's okay. My Nova was at Pink's twice.
I'll bet they didn't call it a Vega no more.
Well, it was called the woolly mammoth. Go look it up. The woolly mammoth Pink's.
My Nova was at Pink's twice.
What do you mean? It was that? You mean like the Pink's all out of it, or? Oh, okay. See, I'm talking prior to that. The actual Pink's show where they went.
Well, it's
You know-
the actual Pink show was still airing and still making episodes after Pink's All Out started.
Not for long though, but yeah. I think they only did one season after that. Then Rich Christensen got sick and tired of it, and just like he was tired of all the sandbagging and crap like that, so he just did All Out full time,
This one's got the gas in the black one.
which now has evolved into Straight Out
Mhm.
Love Live.
Put it off the dealer right now.
Same freaking show in the end. So that stuff was a good show. That was one of the best shows.
Gasser's dragging ass.
Yeah.
Literally, the fuel tank's almost on the trailer deck.
Yeah, although I will say the best vehicle on Pastime ever was this guy that brought a beater Fox body, and he's just like, oh yeah, this thing has like 200,000 miles on it. It's got a mild cab in it, whatever else. Yeah, he pulls a wheelie and does a 7-second quarter mile.
That's one hurting Mustang.
Oh, it was fantastic. That, like, if you ever want to see that, just look up biggest troll pastime. That's what the video is called, and you'll see it. It is magnificent. Like, that was Kenneth Herring's response to it. Just like, yeah, 200,000 miles my ass. So it freaking launches. Because it does a massive wheelie off the line. It's great.
There was some good wheelies at Sick Week this year. There was.
Yeah, see,
Go ahead.
I didn't watch the Sick Week.
You should. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah, the
The
car
only
had
thing that I
200,000 miles.
watched
The engine was
was,
fresh.
I looked at that video that I can't remember who it was that put it out, but you know, that he cracked his motor in half by putting 80 pounds of
Boosted
on the
Boys.
motor. Yeah, that's what it was. I watched that video, but there's like a 5-part series.
He ended up. It was him, and it was him, and then there was the dad and the son. And there's a bunch of them that are all from the same shop, and they run imports.
Yeah.
But no, you really should take a peek at a bunch of the different ones, because there was some gorgeous patinaed wagons there, and all kinds of there was a few Fox bodies. Motion Raceworks' Fox body was there. There was a bunch of good stuff. Cletus's brother had Dr. Pepper there, which is the I think you call it the New Edge Mustang.
Yeah, the 99 to 04.
I'm not sure. I think so.
Slightly more angular. S95. Yeah.
I do believe Cooper had a Mustang, I think, with an LS in it. There was a bunch of good ones. But yeah, there was a lot of good. Vice Grip Garage had Independence Chevelle plus the freaking NASCAR tribute car, the Monte Barro. He had both of those cars there. KSR had the Soccer Mom Camaro. There was a few 6-second Pro Mods that were there. Those are fun to watch, because you got Pro Mod big tire freaking drag racer on the fucking street, doing 800 miles of actual driving.
Oh yeah, like stuff like that is cool. That's why I like boat events like that. Like that's why I really wanted to this year, but I wasn't sure if I was gonna have my money in time or not for it, which is why I didn't actually sign up that day. It was Miles of Mayhem, which is our version of that. But because I think it's 1,400 kilometers total that you have to drive for it. And it's 5 tracks in 6 days. One of those is a test and tune day, and then the rest are actual racing days.
I lost.
I noticed that. That's sad. But unfortunately, because I'm gonna be getting a whack of money here semi soon.
I want to whack of money,
but I'm just not sure if it was how much it's gonna be or anything like that. 100%, but figure it out whenever I get the money.
If unemployment would ever get its freaking ass in line, I have a what did you call it? A whop of money?
I just said a whack of money.
Okay. Yeah, if unemployment gets its ass together, I have a whack of money that they freaking owe me for freaking the time that I wasn't working. But, by the time I ever get that, obviously I'm already back to work. And a whole lot of help that fucking did. I don't know if you guys have anything like that in Canada, but here, while you're working, part of your taxes that comes out of your paycheck goes into unemployment, which is supposed to help you when you're in between jobs, being able to pay your bills. If you're unemployed for reasons that aren't your fault. You know what I mean?
But yeah, it's the same thing here.
Yeah. Well, they're so far behind that I know people that were out of work before me and still have yet to even get a single dime.
That's just sad.
Yeah, it's like
'Cause-
you need that money now. It doesn't matter, like it doesn't help. I mean, not that I couldn't still use that money, because there was bills and things that had to get paid with money that we really didn't have.
Okay, it is okay. That's not just on my end. On YouTube's end right now, it's lagging.
Is it?
Apparently, yeah.
My stream settings saying that the stream health is good.
Yeah. Well, it lagged a little bit, and then Bradley mentioned. Oh, I think he might be talking about
his service. That's why Chris dropped out.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It might have just been on my end here, which happens.
Yeah.
So never mind.
I mean, if there is a service issue, it's not at my location that it's a service issue. There might be a
sure.
YouTube server issue, but it's not a my internet service issue.
Yeah. Oh, faux show. Yeah, and actually something
Excuse me.
I forgot to mention, because the battery that was in Lila when I got her back is actually the original battery that I bought for Stitch, right? When I first bought Stitch. So that battery I bought March 19th, 2019. I still had the receipt for it, thankfully, because it was still under partial warranty.
All right.
Right? So I took it in, and yeah, when they tested the battery, just like, oh yeah, the voltage is fine, but I just had it charging, to be honest. But oh, look at that! It's 195 cold cracking amps. So that's why when I was trying to start the car after I had it charged, like, because I have
it was just clicking.
No. It would go. It would actually kill the battery before the car started.
Yeah, you have a few dead cells in that battery.
Oh yeah. Well, again, 195 cold cracking amps. It was only a 400. I think it was a 420 cold cracking amp when I got it, so it wasn't, anything that special. But hey, he's back.
He is.
Welcome back from the dead.
I told you my phone was having more action than a Nevada cat house.
Got so much action, it just freaking bleeped on out of here. Oh.
But yeah, well, it's something, because and their warranty was 36 months on the battery, right? So I wasn't too far away from that 36 months at that point.
Right.
Because I just got that 2 days ago. And yeah, that battery is actually nicer than the one that was in it originally, because this is a 520 cold cracking amp battery, so a little nicer.
Yeah, that should be good.
Yeah,
I wish I could do that with the battery for the Jean Grey, but I took it back there, and they're like, "Yeah, battery's dead, but all the cells are good, so yeah, we're not replacing it."
Well, what did they tell you for the Did they How did they test
put it on a tester. The thing is,
did they tell you what the numbers were?
They just said that there's no dead cells in it, which is what they would be replacing it for.
Oh, so
it just needs to be charged. I don't have a charger. I was hoping it was dead, because it is an interstate, and as long as it's under warranty, it's full replacement regardless.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
see,
and its warranty is up in I don't know, 2 or 3 months. Though it's basically a brand new battery, because it really hasn't had any work, because the car hasn't been running.
If you were local, I'd just let you mine, but which...
Yeah, I don't know anybody here, which is crappy.
Yeah, that's kind of
Nikolai. That's Nikolai and Alan. That's it.
Well, see, well, actually, technically, it's not mine; it's my dad's. Because he bought this, actually, it was at the auction, and he only paid, I think it was like $20 for it. It wasn't a lot of money.
And somebody said to just hook it up to the battery to the truck, but
yeah, you could do that. Just run the truck for like half hour, something like that,
I could.
and do that. Just have it plugged in.
It's just it hasn't been warm enough outside for me to want to do that.
Oh, come on. You don't just want to leave your truck running outside
No, I just don't want to
on
be
its
out.
own?
Yeah, I just don't want to be outside.
I mean, it's actually been really warm here, although it's going to get cold here, like tomorrow. But,
I think what Chris was saying is it's like 8 degrees outside.
yeah, which I would need to do the conversion because I don't know what that is.
It's cold.
I know that's cold. I just don't know how cold it is. Because right now, like, it's only -1 Celsius out there, so it's not too bad.
It is.
Well, that's what it says right now. Oh, you got now you got -11. There you go. Mine hasn't updated yet. Oh yeah, so that's -13 where you are. It's currently -11 outside right now, so yeah, we're about the same. But that's cool. Especially if there's no sun and wind. Because one thing is, I've been at -40 Celsius, but there was no wind and there was a little bit of sun, so it wasn't actually that cold.
According to this, where I'm at, I mean, it might be 8 degrees where he's at. Where I'm at, it's 17, but feels like 7.
Yes,
so the wind chill is 7.
Yeah. Well, right now we're getting a bunch of snow at the moment.
We had a little squall this morning. Chris had a big squall. They had snow-nados this morning.
Well, right now, like, I'm looking at the sky and it's actually white because there's that much snow in it.
Brad says 7 degrees before wind chill.
Yeah, that's a joy. Yeah, like that's like the one thing is, and something that I've done now, like yeah,
that's right, Brad.
That.
You guys almost home, or you guys are home? Because they had a 4 or 5 hour drive home.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was on its way out when we saw it, so realistically.
He's 2 hours south of Buffalo, New York.
Oh, by the time they park, they'll be 2 hours south of Buffalo. So wherever that is in relation to where
so no, they're not home yet. They still got another 36 miles, so they're home. They've been on the road since 9. Because I left them at 9 o'clock. And Chris has got to come back out this way Monday. He's going to right now they took the Gray Nova all the way out to where Brad lives. And then Chris is bringing it back down to where my storage unit is Monday, because he has to pick up some stuff at that same storage unit. And then he's got to take that stuff all the way out to Nebraska. So he's going from Pennsylvania to Nebraska this week.
That's a bit of a trek.
14-hour drive.
Yeah, I ain't going anywhere for a while. Like, because I'm just waiting for the rad to come in. Like, don't get me wrong, I can drive Stitch and everything, and that's fine. Like, I drive her all the time, but especially when the weather gets really bad, actually, Lilo has way better traction, better tires, and also a little bit more weight over the ass end helps. So, yeah, because like never slides unless I make it slide. So.
But I think we're gonna end the video tonight. I'm freaking falling on my face.
Name.
I know. Oh, but
yeah.
And so we'll be back at this. Hopefully we'll be back at this next week on time. Yeah, they're going snowmobiling tomorrow.
Isn't that fun?
That's why we were supposed to do this car thing tomorrow, but they had plans for tomorrow, so we did it today. And then like next week we're gonna move the black car. I don't know what day. Hopefully that if it is Saturday, I'm back here way before time to start the live stream, so we can actually start it on time. Because I think we would have had more people in here tonight if I would have actually started at 9. Because I think people like Jesse and them that normally pop in would have seen a notification.
Yeah. Oh, faux show.
So, all right, guys, be safe. Brad, Chris, Miss Formy, get home safe. And the rest of you guys, hopefully you guys have a good week. Pilot, hopefully nothing else goes wrong with your Cadillac. And Kat, good luck with the Mustang.
Thank you. Yeah. Hey. It'll be fixed eventually.
And go hockey team. I keep forgetting what the name of your hockey team is.
The Calgary Flames.
All right, go Flames. All right, talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for a great live stream, and we'll catch you next week.
It was fantabulous.